Hey guys, I'm Roman, Tasty Twizzler Tressler, and this here is our newish co-host, person, Mr. Brett Aimbot Armon. He's with going to be co-hosting the Gentleman's Corner here, and so welcome back. Dex is not gone. He's just a real busy cat doing a lot of other things. He's got his other podcast stuff he does, and just he's got other businesses and stuff he runs. So he's just really busy. So he's not gone. Eventually, he is going to come back, make some guest appearances. But in between those time frames, and even probably during those when he does show up, we are going to have our new co-host here, Mr. Brett Armon here. Like I said, Aimbot, and the reason we call him Aimbot is when he goes shooting. He is also one of our new RSOs for Modern Sword. It looks like he is a video game character when he shoots. It's just boom, boom, like it's just like Aimbot. Hence him, it's called Aimbot. In case you guys are wondering. So Brett, go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell everybody about.
Would you say that I'm the pinnacle of perfection when it comes to shooting? Then,
I mean, your form looks good, but you're definitely he can't hit anything.
That's not true. I can hit just about anything I aim for. I just really keep it broad when I'm aiming. I'm shooting for the north.
You hit something in the north.
Hit something in the north.
That's good enough.
That's pretty good. And if you do it that way, you never miss.
Exactly. Well, you know what though? That's 100% accuracy right there.
I have yet to miss.
See? That's why we make him our RSL. Now, he's also our local firearms expert for within Modern Sword. This guy knows everything and anything about guns, stupid amount of knowledge on guns. I mean, he knows more about my gun that I shoot than I know. He tried, he's like, oh yeah, you know about your gun and this. I was like, no, I don't. It's black. It's a polymer-based gun. Shoots a 9mm. That's all I know. And he was like, what kind of barrel does it have? I'm like, metal. So yeah, but go ahead. Tell a little bit about yourself. How did you get started shooting? What other interests you have besides shooting? Eventually get there. Why? Not why, but yeah. How'd you get started shooting? Why were you interested? Oh my God.
Interested?
There we go. In being an RSO and an instructor, and in some of your other passions besides shooting guns, because obviously we have things outside. Everybody knows that since watch this, I enjoy the hell out of cigars. And by the way, guys, today I'm having a Perdomo Fresco cigar. This is their cheap cigar, and honestly, you can't beat it for $4 a stick, especially for a Churchill. This, I would probably have paid $12 for these cigars. They're great, very strong in chocolate flavor, very good coffee, forward heavy on the coffee. I'm not going to talk too much about this cigar today because there are other things I want to go about. So I'm not going to do my typical describing what I taste. So just a little bit. If you're a person that likes the Maduro darker shades, this is a great cigar. And Perdomo didn't pay me for that either. But I will accept free cigars, Perdomo. Just saying, if you want to sponsor.
Hashtag Perdomo.
Yeah, hashtag Perdomo. Perdomo Army. Any kind of, all right, anyway, go ahead, Brett. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, the first time I started shooting.
So, Brandy, no kidding, go ahead.
First time I started shooting, I was 10-ish, 12-ish, something like that. I was out at this property with my dad. He had this old 410 22 over and under. It was made by Savage. He got it when he was 10 years old, so he got it in 1950. And we were looking around for ammo, and we couldn't find 22. And this is well before ammo shortage. Just where we were at, just didn't happen to have any 22, but they had 410. I'd never shot a gun at all, and so we load up this 410 over and under, and he tells me to put it to my shoulder and shoot. Now, believe it or not, I've been a boy my whole life.
Your whole life?
A whole life.
No way.
So when I held it up like I did with, my little air guns, BB guns, stuff like that. And I cocked the hammer back and I pulled the trigger. And that, even though it was a 410 at 10 years old or however old I was, it hit me with, I thought I got kicked by a mule, but I wasn't going to, tell my dad that. So I shot it, hurt like a son of a bitch. And so now I'm handing it back to my dad. I'm going, I think it's your turn. It's your turn. Well, he knows what happened. He knew what it was, and he did it on purpose. I don't condone training somebody like this, but
that's the sink or swim method.
Very much the sink or swim, yeah. And he goes, no. I think you need to shoot it again. I'm like, no, Dad, it's your turn. I already took one. He's like, no, now we're going to shoot it. I'm going to teach you how to shoot it correctly. And he taught me how to actually shoulder the gun and hold on to it properly. And you know what? The next time I shot it, it wasn't that bad. And I actually really enjoyed shooting it. And then when we got to 22, I was like, holy crap, this is a real round? Like, this is real. Like, I just went from that to this. Like, that's pretty sweet. But anyways, yeah, that's how I started getting started shooting. You would have thought that would have deterred me a little bit, but no, I really liked it. And so then I just proceeded to keep shooting. And I didn't get big into, like, gun nerdy stuff till I was probably, like, 23-ish, 24. And that's when I started, like, doing more of, like, the newer kind of shooting, the cool Instagram kind of shooting stuff.
Right.
Everything else before that was very traditional, almost bladed kind of traditional shooting. That
Chicken wing arm. And,
right, exactly, yeah.
Old school, very old school technique.
Yep, like even when I went into the Army, I was still shooting like that. Like, the Army didn't teach me anything.
Really?
The only thing I can remember the Army teaching me that I took with is when you're shooting from like a sitting position, is they taught me, get my knee up here, is when you're resting to have your elbow not on your knee, but your knee into like your tricep almost, to get you like a stable platform.
So when I went to basic training, they weren't so much worried about basic training. They didn't really do much in the way of, they just wanted us to qualify,
right,
more than anything else. So they weren't really worried about, where you put the rifle. Now, mind you, I went before, like they were still giving us.
Were you getting issued M16s?
Yeah, I was an M16A2. Heck, when I went to Afghanistan, I had M16A2 with a 203 grenade launcher. But like I had, when I went to basic, it was BDUs, black boots, old school K-pots. So not even like the newer one that came out when I was in, and then I got this newer one now. I had LBE. I had like the old LBE Y and H harness, a webbing. Didn't have a Camelback. We had canteens.
Yeah,
like
we had I went in with ACUs. We had Camelback. All the newer stuff. It was
like we didn't even train with like a vest or nothing.
Oh yeah,
at
we
all.
did.
We were trained like we were back in Vietnam. Like this is like literally, but they didn't care so much about where our arm was. It wasn't until I got into AIT when we were doing more of the FTX stuff. We were doing like different lanes and stuff. They were like, hey, bring your arm down, like, because now what happens is when you're when I went to AIT, we were still in BDUs, but they changed PT a little bit. Like when I was in basic, they were doing like, the arm rotation, the arm and shoulder rotations, the hip rotation. Like they didn't have this new style where you did like these weird shuttle sprint thingies, whatever. Like it wasn't what I went to in AAT was different from my basics. I had about a year off because I was a split up. So then that things kind of changed, because now all of a sudden in basic people are starting to do CQB. I wasn't doing CQB. I didn't do CQB when I was in basic.
We did CQB. We did a lot of.
I learned the CQB stuff in AIT because they were like, oh, we're gonna do this and whatever. I was like, I didn't learn any of this. But Jill starts yelling, you learned this in basic. No, I didn't. Like, dude, I don't know any of this. This is all new to me. So, and they were like, bring your arm down, no chicken wing, because the idea is when you're going around a corner, you didn't want your arm sticking past the wall. You had to bring it in. So yeah, like I learned that in AIT. And then of course, when I went active, I learned a lot more. Definitely when I deployed, especially working with the infantry guys and the special forces groups. And it just a whole different, whole different dynamic of way of doing things. And then of course,
when you're in basic, did they teach you the whole I'm up, they see me, I'm down thing?
Oh yeah, the 3 to 5 second rush. Yeah. I'm up, they see me. I still use that.
Yeah.
I'm up, they see me, I'm down.
Yep.
Like that's a good thing to have. And yeah, alternate firing with your if you have like people. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Some of the tactics and stuff still hold true.
It's just the most basic of basic basic training.
Yeah.
But like I remember one of the drill sergeants when we were doing, I think it was an FTX. Maybe not. But
it's a really good cigar.
We would get in trouble and get smoked if every time we pulled the trigger we didn't pull it twice. Because every time you send one round, you should send one right behind it. It's 2 rounds. It bang bang, bang bang.
What's funny is because when I went to FTX, we were so limited on ammo. So limited. Our drill sergeant was passing out like you get 7 rounds. And I was op 4 though. So, and when I was in basic, when I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Yeah, I did too.
I went during the summer, and when I was in during the FTX, I remember Joe starting. He's like, "You're 7 rounds. Here's 7 rounds." When we were doing Op 4, I know that some units did it differently. Our base training unit, you were Op 4 the entire time. It wasn't like, okay, now we're gonna send some guys to be Op 4 opposing force, whatever. If you were the people who got to be opposing force were the ones who had the highest scores in your whatever. So like whoever had the highest PT score had the highest rifle qualification, all this stuff. Like here, I shot expert.
Right.
You know, I had one of the highest PT scores. I passed land nav on the first time go on land nav. First time go on like the ruck march, whatever, like stuff like that. Like everything was first time go stuff. So scored out. So there was like 2 squads of us, I guess, if you will, like 14 of us that got to be Op 4, and we were Op 4 the entire time. Sounds like it would be fun. It was probably the most miserable I've ever been because we did not sleep like at all. They're like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna crash out. They still wanted us to set up a bivouac. We didn't like. We had shelter halves,
Right.
old school canvas shelter halves.
You said you didn't do a Nick at Night, right? You said you did something similar to it, but it wasn't actually called Nick at Night back then?
We didn't call it Nick at Night. We just called it Night Infiltration Course.
Well, yeah, that's what it was, a night infiltration course. But so it's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Nick at Night.
Yeah, so we just called it Night Infiltration Course. We didn't call it Nick at Night. And so, but we had like okay, our FTX. So we did our FTX, and what was funny was is that Op 4, they're like, all right, here's your rucksack, or your shit, whatever. Like, okay, start building your bivouac. Like we didn't even get done building because they want us to build hasties, a fighting position as a hasty, and they're like, all right, get that dug first because if they send like a squad out, you guys need to be able to defend your positions. So we're doing that in the middle of the freaking woods. Do you know how hard it is to dig and when there's roots? Like at this point, it's like just set up logs, you know. So and then they're like, all right, let's go. We're like, oh shit. So we were out and in the 4 days we were out there, I must have gotten 8 hours of sleep total. Because there was one night they were going to let us sleep all night. We got done harassing the main unit, whatever. And so we get back, like, all right, you guys can get some sleep. We're like, thank God. You know, like, and this is how I slept at our bivouac. I took off my top, I put on my wet weather top. My wet weather top was a rubber jacket. It wasn't the new Gore-Tex, it was a rubber jacket. I put that on, tightened it up, pulled my hood up. Didn't sleep under a tent. Not one of us had a tent set up. I literally laid my ass on the ground. My rucksack was my pillow, and I would pass out.
Yep.
Then it started to rain a couple hours later, like 3 hours later. And they're like, get in the back of the truck, right? So and it had a canvas. So we're like, okay, cool. Problem is the canvas doesn't go all the way to the floor. It stops about this far from the floor.
So everything knee down is soaked.
Well, yeah, you're not sitting down. We're standing in the back of the truck all night long.
That's what I'm saying. So everything like knee down is soaked.
Yeah, wet and cold. Our rucksacks were in our hasties, which were flooded. So all of our gear was wet. And I was like, oh, and then we had to do, but it was fun. We got to do so much harassment. But when we were doing that, though, our drill sergeant's like, here's 7 rounds. 1 fucking round. That's all you're shooting. 1 round. All right. But there was 14 of us. So he wanted to be like 2 people shoot like at once, another 2. And then after that, we're going to retreat. So like that was his big, they were so stingy with the rounds for us.
No, we didn't. We
had to do a lot of bang, bang, safety fire. I was like, motherfuckers.
No, we didn't have to do any of that. We did. I don't think there was ever any issue with ammo.
For us, there was. But when I went to basic, the wars, I went in basic 2003. So mind you, Iraq had just kicked off in 2002. You know, in Afghanistan 2002. So the wars had just kicked off. By the time you went to basic, they had been going for a couple of years.
Yeah, I went in 2013, 14.
Yeah, so here I went 10 years early before you. So yeah, so like a lot of changes. Like, did you do CLS in basic combat lifesaver school? Like they get the IVs and stuff.
We didn't necessarily do that. We did have a class that was similar to it, but it was more like the Red Cross first aid kind of. Right.
I think everybody.
I mean, a little bit more in depth than like Red Cross. You know, we'd sucking chest wounds. You know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But no, we didn't do it. We didn't do anything with an IV.
Okay, because I know, because when I went in, we did like dressing, pressure dressing, elevate,
Yeah.
last resort, tourniquet. We didn't do anything like if you had a sucking chest wound when I was in basic. We learned all that stuff when I went to CLS. I was just remembering because when I was an NCO in the Army, we had soldiers come in and they were saying they had to do IV sticks and stuff in basic. I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, they got rid of CLS, so they do it now in basic training.
No, I didn't do anything like that in basic.
You guys do like the nasal pharyngeals and a throat, like the shove the tubes up their nose and stuff like that, or down their throats?
I don't remember it. I don't think we did because I feel like I would have remembered that.
Okay, so yeah, you probably had a little bit more in depth than what we had, but probably not much more. I mean, probably a little bit better too. Like we went right to I know when I was in CLS and direct firefight, it was no longer because it was like if you were in a firefight and you got hit in the leg, put a dressing, apply pressure, elevate.
Right.
And if it still didn't, then you got to apply a pressure dressing. And if that didn't work, then tourniquet. Well, then it was then they changed it later on when I was in CLS. I went to CLS in Afghanistan. It was if you're in a direct firefight, someone gets shot, tourniquet first.
Yeah.
Just tourniquet. Don't even bother. By the time we get you out of there, we'll be able to save your leg or whatever, unless it was shredded or something. But it was tourniquet right away. Just tourniquet.
Yep.
Don't even bother trying to do all that other shit. We had the ABCs, right? Airway, was it airway, breathing, circulation?
Yeah,
and then
we did have that.
But then in direct combat, it's backwards: circulation, breathing, airway. You had to stop the bleeding first, then you make sure they're breathing, and if they are trying to breathe, is their airway open? You got to make sure, or whatever. It's circulation, bleeding, airway. I can't remember. It's been a long time. Okay, shoot. I mean, but I was like, yeah, you go backwards. So I was like. Oh, okay.
we were just talking about this the other night, and I ended up even playing one. You know what I kind of miss about being in the military, especially basic, because you did it so much, basic and AIT? Cadences.
Yeah, we did a lot in active.
There's something about so what it was is I was telling her every time I yawn, I go,
Yeah.
get out the way, quick. Charlie Company runs this shit. There's little things like that'll just pop into my head, or I'll be walking down the street one day, ran into a stranger.
Oh my god, I haven't heard that one in a long
Asked me what I wanted to be.
I want to be an airborne ranger.
Yeah.
Airborne Rangers
Lead the way.
Now we would do when people would go airborne, the people would say, "Shoot the son of a, shoot the son of a, shoot the son of a."
Yeah, you would have the
then,
first and second. Yeah.
And then basic training, we would say, "Shoot the son of a, shoot the son of a, shoot the son of a bitch."
Oh, we had
AIT, we'd change it to woo because you can't say that. Here's one that got us in trouble: the split ops. All right, when I was in AIT, the split ops, yours truly, and there was a couple other guys. Got in trouble for this one. All right, I'm a jackhammer, baby.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right? All right. This is what we said in basic training. I'm a jackhammer, baby. And I'm jacking on down the line, right? Well, we were singing that, because the platoon guide was a split op. I was a split op. So here's all these guys straight out of AI basic. They're like, what? Oh, all right, we'll just go with it. And drill sergeant comes and is like, hey, private, what are you saying? And they're like, we stopped the whole formation because we're going from the schoolhouse back to our barracks, and you don't have a drill sergeant to escort you from schoolhouse to barracks. You just don't, right? And he's telling the cadence, and he's like, "You do not say we're jacking on down the line. It's we're hammering on down the line." We're like, "Oh,
dude, I had a drill sergeant in basic who it was Patton, drill sergeant Patton, and he was kind of a whacked out dude, anyways.
Right.
And he would just come up with some weird shit. And I can remember one day we were leaving the mess hall, and he's like, "All right, in cadence, you can't ride in my little red wagon." He starts going off on this Miranda Lambert song. But at the time, I mean, if anyone's been through basic, anything that can remotely bring you back to civilian world, you're like, I love it. This is amazing.
Mm.
So we're getting to sing a Miranda Lambert song, which we haven't heard any music, because we didn't have our phones, we didn't have music.
Right.
We didn't have nothing like that, anything that could remotely bring us to the outside world. So it's like, even though it's Miranda Lambert, yeah, we're singing with it.
We had a drill sergeant, and I don't know if it was basic. I think it was basic. Yeah, basic training, or it could have been AIT. I don't remember. I had a female drill sergeant, and I just can't remember which one it was. And it was black female drill sergeant.
I had a
And,
Spanish
and,
E7 drill sergeant,
uh-huh.
little girl, like
And
very little.
the only reason I bring it up is because I can't remember which one it was, who was it, but they both had actually amazing voices, so that's why I can't remember which one do it. But when one would start singing, we're like, oh, she can sing, thank God, because we did have a drill sergeant. Again, I can't remember which one. It was either basic training or AIT. I remember we had a drill sergeant, big burly dude. It was either senior drill sergeant and shit, they were both senior drill sergeants. Either way, big burly white dude, couldn't sing to save his life, right? Couldn't hold a tune. God, but you do what he did, he got it through. And the idea of the cadences to keep you in step and stuff like that. But he was bad, but she was great. And I remember one of our cadences, I actually knew the song because she was doing Mama I'm Coming Home by Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
And this was it had to be AIT, I think. I think it was AIT because we were doing one of our final marches, whatever. And it was like literally like 2 days, 3 days for graduation. And she was doing Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, she makes this shit work for a cadence. Like we had drill sergeants do other stuff like that before, like just pull from a song
right.
and do whatever. But, I don't necessarily miss the cadence. I do at times because it is pretty, like, especially like, all right, so when I was active, like we had this,
it is memorable. That's what it is.
The only thing I hate is like when we do something like this huge, like Fort Drum had this huge parade thing we were going to be in. Like everybody was in it, like almost the entire division. So, and what stunk is that each battalion would have one cadence caller per battalion. I don't know why. She should have done it at company level because the battalions are so big. You generally can't hear some of these cadence callers. If they were if you were behind them and they were projecting forward, you can hear them.
Right.
But when they got towards, and I figured your cadence caller is always in the middle of the formation, of your particular formation. Sometimes these guys would just project forward. Like when I would call cadence, I always turned my head to the side and project sideways, so that way, hopefully, people behind me in the front. But some of these people are so soft spoken, it's like you couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't stay in step because you literally can't hear anything. But every now and then you get this one cadence caller who freaking like got a set of lungs on them, and like, damn, and then you hear the entire like battalion or as much as the battalions can go out. Dude, it's pretty freaking wild. It is fun. But
you know what was a lot of fun for me, and it was combatives. I enjoyed the hell out of basic training combatives. Because at that point, I'd already been training in jiu-jitsu, and that's almost everything that it was jiu-jitsu. Right. And so I'd already been started jiu-jitsu for years before that. So like when it came to combatives, it was like, dude, this is awesome. What sucked for me though was pugil sticks.
I hated pugil sticks.
Pugil sticks.
I got my shit rocked so hard.
I did too, dude.
I got hit so hard, I didn't even know I ended up on the ground. They give you this football helmet that doesn't fit properly.
Nope.
Some freaking hockey top, whatever thing, and then go. And
for those who don't know, pugil sticks are like a giant fucking Q-tip with a soft end on one side and soft end on the other, and you beat each other up with it.
And it's not soft.
It's not soft.
It feels like they took a rock and they said, we're going to put a thin layer of fake leather around it.
Yeah.
And boy, I remember I got hit so hard. The very first hit I took to the head, I did not know I got knocked to the ground.
So, dude,
I got hit so, like, twisted my helmet to the side.
I don't know why. I think our drill sergeant just wanted to witness a murder. So we had this one kid in basic, and I don't remember his name. He was this little Puerto Rican kid. And what's funny is he actually had a contract to go airborne. So, I mean, apparently he did, too. Apparently he actually went and succeeded. Didn't speak hardly a lick of English. And he was maybe 100 pounds. He was a small, little Puerto Rican kid.
Right.
When it came to pugils, he got paired up with this dude, Copeland, who was a 35-year-old black dude who probably hasn't missed a protein meal or a day in the gym since he was about 6 years old. And that kid he definitely had a concussion. There's no way around it. So instead of like a traditional attack, when they said go, Copeland just took this stick and not like jabbed it. He took it and he whipped the back end all the way around. Boom! Just hit him right on the top of the head.
Oh,
And this kid just flatlined, dude. Just boom, just done. And like he wasn't unconscious, but he was not there. Like he wasn't speaking Spanish or English. Don't know what he was speaking after that.
he was speaking in tongues.
He was.
I mean, like I lost in base training. I lost both pugil stick fights that I got into. Like I'm not afraid to admit that. Like some people are like, oh no, I got the first one. Like I said, I got hit so hard, I ended up on the ground, and I didn't know I got knocked down. Like it was, I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Right.
Like, so my helmet got twisted to the side. So like, all right, and then we had to start again. That was the first pugil stick. Very first hit I took, I'm like, yeah, if that was the butt of a rifle, because that's supposed to mimic a rifle.
Yeah.
If that was the butt of a rifle and I got hit in the head that hard, yeah, I'm fucking dead. So the second time we started, we was a little better. You know, I'm doing better a job at parrying. Now I kind of know what to expect. But you don't stop until somebody's dead. And
You had brothers growing up. You didn't play with lightsabers or something?
no, we fought, but like not with pugil sticks. Like my brother broke my nose and stuff like that, and broke ribs. Like we got in a hellacious fight growing up. But so we're swinging these pugil sticks, and I remember finally it got to a point where it was blow for blow, just like I hit this kid, and boom, he hits me. I hit this kid. And I remember looking. I get
Just exhausted.
I can look. I can just see his face. I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna kill him. I used every bit of strength I had left, and this bugle stick flew out of my hands, and I went, shit. And the drill sergeant Buckner, I won't remember. He was like, "You're dead. You're fucking dead. Get on the ground. You're dead." I was like, "Finally, I'll gladly lay down." He's like, "You're a roach." I was like, "Okay." I didn't care. I was so glad to be dead. I was so exhausted. It was like, it does. I think we might have only been fighting for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But swing, and these things are not like light either.
No, they're
Pugil
really
sticks
not.
are fairly heavy. And
You want to be swinging them around for a couple minutes. They're real heavy.
I was never happy in my life to be dead. I was like, oh my God, I'm dead.
But speaking of the Army, what do you think is going to happen with this P320?
Hold on. So outside of guns, one of the things is about Brett.
Well, like I did mention, I started jiu-jitsu. I started martial arts. I started karate, which karate to me, unless you are like super high level, I don't suggest trying to like use it in a street fight.
No,
Don't do that. But I
doesn't
started karate at like 8 years old. Did that for a couple years. And then at 15 is when I started dipping my toes into jiu-jitsu. But then I stopped because I was young, stupid, and was like, I'm partying with my friends. I'm having so much fun. I should have kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, discipline and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I didn't get back into martial arts till I was like 23, 24, something like that. But then I went into combat sambo. And combat sambo is more or less, if you were to watch it, you would think it's just MMA. They're so closely related that, I mean, essentially it is MMA because they are mixing in a bunch of different aspects of fighting into their one.
Plus salsa dancing.
Only if the music's on.
Okay.
Yeah. If the music's on, you stop what you're doing and you just
dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hand on the belly, one hand up.
Yep. That's duh.
Yes. Or you bust out some really tasty chips and get salsa.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
Don't let no. Huh?
But yeah, so martial arts and guns really are like the two.
Your things.
Those are my things, which is funny because I tell people I'm not a violent guy. But if they're like, well, what do you like to do? I really like fighting and I really like shooting stuff.
You know, for the most part, I think a lot of, let's not beat around the bush here. You're a fairly conservative person, right? Right. So you're newsflash. This is a pretty conservative channel. And I'm not saying we won't allow liberals to speak and stuff like that, but like you're a fairly conservative person. I'm obviously conservative. I've never hid that. Most conservative people actually don't like violence. Most of us are. There's a lot of conservative people, not all, obviously, you can't say it, but there's a good chunk of people who learn martial arts, firearms training, a lot of like combative type things tend to be conservatives, and a lot of them don't like violence. So
Well,
it's kind of the idea of the, like Dex and I had talked about. It's the the it's better to have a warrior as a gardener than a gardener as a warrior kind of
you're
thing.
right. Better to be a gardener. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Right. It's kind of like that mentality. It's like, so it's like, yes, we are not afraid of violence and we're willing to do violence, but we don't want.
See, I wouldn't even go that
violence.
far, like, because I would actually say I am afraid of violence. I do not want to partake. I don't want to get hurt. I don't. I just know that I am capable of it.
Right.
I'm very capable of it, and I also know what it can. Because if somebody isn't trained, whether in martial arts or even in a gunfight, the training, the stuff that I've trained with, I know I'm going to be probably better than most. Not to say that I'm going to win every fight or nothing like that, but I'm going to be better than most. And I don't. It's like a bullying situation. Like, just because I can hurt you doesn't mean that I should hurt you. You know,
or that I mean? You're going to, right?
Or that I'm going to. And I think that also gives, especially people who've trained, that bit of a confidence to just kind of laugh it off. Be like, it's that you're. It's like when I say you're not worth the jail time, like it's a legit thing. Like, because what's going to happen is, unless you do get the better of me, which then I might still end up in jail, beat up and in jail. I beat you up and then I go to jail. That just. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some people who don't deserve that.
Well, no, yeah, and that's fine, and I get what you mean. But what I mean by like not afraid of violence is like, if push comes to shove, I will meet you with violence.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't. It's not like if you got a knife, I know I'm gonna be like, okay. So here's the thing: if you ever get in a knife fight, you're gonna get cut.
Oh yeah, we actually did a training, right? Well, what we did is we took fake knives, right? And we put lipstick on them. We were wearing white shirts, and we got into knife fights. And you would see at the end of it, everybody's shirt was covered in lipstick.
Yep, you're always going to get cut, and it's like, so it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, yeah, you don't want to get hurt and stuff like that. There is a fear. Like when I got into firefights in Afghanistan, it actually, after, this is going to sound weird, after a certain point, you stop being afraid, because it's like, it's weird. It's like, okay, you are scared initially, and there might be moments where your fear does spike. Like when we were going to go clear this one building, it was like, as we stacked up, you know, my adrenaline goes like, oh, we're doing this. Like, so it spikes. But when the firefight first started, when my truck got hit with RPGs like that, yeah, my fear level's high. But after a while, when we were just kind of like in this constant firefight, just shooting back and forth, we're in our positions, moving, whatever, doing whatever we got to do. After all, you kind of stop being scared.
Well, I got
it like the fear kind of wears out, but like that's a whole different situation.
Well, I got to imagine it is a little bit similar to fighting. Like I'll take, excuse me, just sparring for instance. When I was first starting with combat sambo, because I'd never sparred like that.
Right.
Combat sambo's kind of, I don't want to say brutal. As far as martial arts go, it is more brutal than others. And so when I first started and I was starting to spar that way, I can remember like you know, as I'm putting gloves on, mouthpiece in, it's like, oh man, you know, the adrenaline's going up. You're like, I'm getting in, because it's like I'm getting into a fight. You know, It's not jujitsu. We're not rolling. I'm going to punch you, and you're going to punch me, and I'm going to try and take you down, and I'm going to try and hit you with elbows. You're going to try and do. We're not doing it at 100%.
Right.
In sparring, at least, we're not doing it at 100%. But even at 50%, getting caught with an elbow upside the head hurts. So initially, that adrenaline, but the more I did it, it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go. I hope I don't get my eye black this time. Right.
Well, like I say, it just depends. Now, like if somebody, I won't be alive. Like somebody breaks into my house in the middle of the night, I'm sure my adrenaline's going to be high, and I'm sure there'll be a level of fear, because that would be stupid not to be afraid. I'm not a psycho, but yeah, but you know, I'm hoping the training and everything I learned will kick in and whatever. Right. But my point being, though, is that we're more willing to meet violence with violence.
Well, I just saw something today that I thought was excellent. And it says, don't call yourself peaceful if you're not capable of violence.
Right. Yeah, I think like Jordan Peterson was.
I forget who it was, but it said, don't call yourself peaceful if you're not capable of violence. At this point, I forget the exact quote. It didn't say you're weak, but essentially that's what it was getting.
You're vulnerable. Well, yeah. It is kind of
It's like you can't say, oh, I'm a peaceful person. You're not capable of being anything other than peaceful. So that doesn't make you peaceful. That makes you a lamb.
Yep. So, and that's the thing, is like most, not all, obviously I know there's a lot of conservative guys that aren't. All right. But I think most conservative guys are willing to be in that position of, I'm willing to meet violence with violence, We're the ones that are going to get trained up. We're the ones that's going to go do the fun. We're the ones with the guns.
Mhm.
We're the ones with all this, like, but we're also the ones that don't want violence.
Right.
Especially if you got people, like, there's always psychopaths out there. Well,
Mhm.
but, like, if you talk to a lot of veterans who've seen combat, a lot of cops, all these guys, and who've seen violence, it's like, I don't want a civil war. I don't want, like, I've seen what war does. I don't want that here. It's not glorious. It's not fun. It's like, it's.
I do want a zombie apocalypse. I'd really like to not go to work on Monday.
Okay, well, that's different. but yeah, so it's like, so I was going somewhere with this and I forgot.
Conservatives don't want violence.
Yeah. But there was a reason I brought that up. Oh, you actually are not a violent person. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, I think most conservatives are like, I would rather just talk to you and hash it out, because like, for real, unless it is a legitimate life or death situation, nobody wins in a fist fight. Swear to God, nobody wins, because either you both go to jail or somebody goes to jail, the other person's in a hospital, and you got medical bills or whatever. Like, nobody wins.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
I mean, worst case scenario, even if you don't go to jail, your hand still hurt. If you win the fight without getting hit and don't go to jail, your hand still hurts at the end of the day. And I've never been in a fight where I haven't gotten hit. I've been in fights where I've won, but you still get hit.
Yeah.
People get hit in fights.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not really worth, it's really not worth the, like, so, but yeah, like, all the things that we do, because I've told people that, I'm like, when we do our firearms classes, I'm like, it's odd is that we're teaching people how to kill, not how to shoot a target.
Right.
We're teaching people our targets are silhouette shaped like people.
Mm-hmm.
We're telling you what to aim for, headshot, center mass. What do you think we're not like, hey, shoot him in the leg. It's.
But the reason for that is because, I mean, there's a great quote that says, nobody rises to the occasion, they fall back on their training.
Well, Dex says that a lot.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Dex is not the one who quoted that,
right.
or came up with coined the phrase.
Right.
But I don't know who it is. But
Dex.
We'll
go with Dex.
Yeah,
because Dex has mentioned that before in a Gentleman's Corner. Yeah, you don't rise to the level of your training. You fall back. No, you don't.
You don't rise to the occasion. You fall back on your training.
Right. So and it's like, so it's like, we're teaching people how to actually kill.
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching people how to be violent, which is kind of weird. And yet, in the same token, we're like, guys, listen, do everything you can not to be in this situation.
Well, I mean,
if you can leave.
So a great comparison with martial arts and training in firearms is essentially all martial arts is learning tactics for a fist fight, a hand-to-hand combat, right? You're learning tactics.
Right.
You're learning, if I slip this way when he's throwing this punch, that means I have a better chance of hitting you with this punch. So you're learning tactics. Granted, these tactics are going to be far more effective on a one-to-one scale. Like, if I'm fighting a guy who is the exact same size as me with my training and he has none, I would give him maybe like a 5 to 10% chance of winning. Maybe that, right? But just like in a gunfight, doesn't matter how much training you have. If a bullet hits you, it doesn't matter if that dude had never shot a gun in his entire life. If that bullet hits you, you're hit. Just like if this dude had never been in a fist fight before. If he hits you, you got hit.
Yep.
And so it's you work on these tactics to just try to bring that level of you're trying to not bring that level down. You're actually trying to bring your level of
success
up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you're trying to do.
You go from if you go from just making this up. If you had no training and he had no training, you guys are about equal in height and weight.
50-50
you got a 50-50 chance. But if you got 3 months worth of training of fighting and he has none, you might be at 60.
Right.
Like you're just increasing your
exactly.
That's
why and that's why when
and I think 60 is too much.
It probably is. After a couple of years, that's when I would start putting you at like the 70 and the other guy at the 30.
Right.
To where you do have a much greater odds of winning. Right. But I mean, anybody can throw a punch to knock somebody out. Just like anybody can shoot a gun and it hit. I don't care if you're a Navy SEAL who's been training your entire life. You're not bulletproof. You can get shot. You can YouTube it and look up MMA fighters who get into street fights and get slumped by some regular Joe because they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
So speaking of which, now, okay, a little bit. I was about Brett. Welcome. All right. So now I know you want to go into this one thing we were talking. Speaking of military, and you're bringing up the SIG thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we were talking about the Army. So with the issues being with the P320.
What is it, M8 for them?
Yeah,
Like the
it's the
M8?
M17 and M18.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what they are, and which they are. That's a P320.
Yeah.
But with the drop fire safety, so I was curious. Do you think they're going to get rid of them?
No.
I agree with you, and I'll tell you why.
I don't think the Army's going to do it. I think if any branch is going to do it, it's going to be the Air Force.
Well, now how do those military contracts work? Is it branch to branch? Because
Generally, yes.
Because when they won that in 2017, it was MHS military. I forget what it stood for.
I shouldn't say generally yes. I think
but
overall,
the general military, all of the military adopted it. So I'm wondering, does that mean that the overall military has to decommission it?
So here's what I think is going to happen. This is me being very hypothetical. I have absolutely no research to back this. Nothing. This is just me being me. I think the other branches are going to wait to see what the Air Force does. The reason being is, in case anybody doesn't know, Air Force, which they arrested a dude for, which I'm not even going to get involved.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so I guess an airman, he was like their MP, which they call him security force, their SF guy. It's not special force, security force. He was at, I can't remember, Nevada, I think. I could be wrong, but it's where they have like some of the nuclear testing, the nuclear silos. I guess when he set down the holstered weapon, it went off, hit him in the center mass, and ended up killing him. But apparently they arrested his partner. I don't know why. And they're kind of blaming it on him.
The military is good at that.
And yeah, and I think they're doing that personally to save face because of the contract with SIG. And I don't know why they're blaming. Now there's going to be cameras everywhere where this was at. This is a very secure facility where it happened. So there might be something in the cameras. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate.
Was the friend the one who maybe set it down?
No, they said it was the guy who set it down shot himself. And they're like, oh, well, he didn't do proper, or maybe it was a friend. I don't remember. I would have to re-listen to it. Valhalla VFT really broke it down really well. It's on YouTube. And I got to go back to see how that was. But I don't remember. Maybe the friend did do it, but I thought it was the actual airman himself did it and shot himself. And he didn't set the gun down. And the thing is they always say, oh, he broke the first rule of firearm safety. Never point a weapon at yourself. And I'm like, that's if it's not holstered. When you expect something to be in a holster, it's safe. There's no way to manipulate the trigger.
I mean, true, but at the same time, if I would still maybe avoid, like I know when I take my pistol off,
right?
If I set it on the table, I will make sure that pistol is still pointed in a safe direction.
And I get that, but see, and here's the thing: I tell a lot of people, and you got to be 100% real. You have to be real, and I think this is the problem a lot of people are forgetting. I don't want to divert too much off topic here. You're not always going to be 100% safe 100% of the time. It's literally just not fit. If you are literally, if I am appendix carrying, guess what's happening? I have a gun pointed into my hip.
Yep.
It's I'm not now. It's considered safe though because it's holstered and you can't do anything with right. So it's kind of the same mentality here. He set it down and it shot him. So
I understand what you're saying. That should not have happened. But I also do understand their point, and it shouldn't have been pointed at him. But if it's in the safety of a holster,
right?
You shouldn't have to have that concern,
right? So here's the thing about the safe gun handling rules is that if you follow the safe gun handling rules, right? If you mess up on one, the other rules will prevent you from getting shot.
Yes.
All right. It's what they call it, the Swiss cheese model. I think is what it's called. So Swiss cheese has got a bunch of holes in it, and generally speaking, you can stick anything in a hole of the Swiss cheese, but it won't go all the way through. But if you cut the Swiss cheese enough in enough slices, eventually you can get all the holes to line up if you move it just right. So that's kind of the idea. It's just like, if you accidentally get past this one, the next safety should prevent it from happening in the next, right? It's like the redundancy.
Well, that's where it's at. Because like even if you do point a firearm in an unsafe direction, if the finger's not on the trigger, it's not going to go off,
Right.
unless it's a cig.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, the automatic fire. That's legitimate automatic fire.
That is a real accidental discharge.
Yeah, that's not a negligent discharge. That is an actual.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think
Negligence
so
on
part of me
cig.
thinks when they arrested that one airman, it was to cover for SIG because of the contract. So SIG is currently suing. I can't remember. I think the Marshals, U.S. Marshals, because
Dude, there's a lot of them. Police forces and stuff, and even just gun ranges that are like, nope, no more.
Because it's too unsafe. And the thing is, the truth is, there's people out there who are like, and I know Brandon Herrera had brought this up. Yes, there might be thousands of SIG P320s that are safe. But if there's one out of every 100 that's going off, or has the potential to have that go off, you know, then that adds up.
Yeah.
Or even if it's one out of every 500.
Well, if you consider, what is our military at? It's like 3. Is it 3 million?
Maybe around there.
No. I think it's like 1.8 million. So if you
active reserve National Guard, I think it's more though. When you combine the entire.
Let's just say it's 2 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're supposed to be able to issue, and I know we're not, but let's just say we're going to issue every single person a P320 as a sidearm for 2 million people, and even 1% of those have the ability to go off by themselves, that's a problem.
Yeah. And
that's just for military. That's not taking the civilian side of it.
And the thing is, there are videos where you saw the cop. He's literally in the police station. He had his hands full with paperwork and the gun's in his holster, and it goes off.
Yeah.
You know, you seeing all these things, and SIG is still gaslighting and saying, oh, no, it's not us, it's the user. So, anywho, what I think happened is...
But hold on that note, I actually saw something, and I don't know how true this part is, so I can't say for certain this is fact. But I did see where the original, I think it was the original gunsmith for the P320 sent in it was a paperwork showing that this firing control group or whatever they call it, you know, the 320's got that firing control module or whatever.
Right.
Frames. He said that this isn't safe. We need to change it to this, and he has it on paper. And he actually gave the proper, and they never went ahead and did that to make it because it would have cost him an extra 2 cents or something per or whatever.
I think Brandon Herrera also brought that up too. I think I heard something. Or if it wasn't Brandon Herrera, it was Angry Cops. So, but anywho, so what I think is happening is that the rest of the military is going to wait for Air Force's findings before they make a decision. So I think right now you're going to see the U.S. Army, the Marine Corps, and the Navy continue to use it. They're going to wait for the Air Force to finish whatever investigation, whatever findings they have before they make a decision on anything. So it's personally what I think is going to happen.
Let me ask you this.
I don't think the contract is going to be canceled or reneged or something like that. I think they're just going to, because the military has just spent, probably billions on these firearms. And you're not just for the firearms, you're also talking for the holsters.
Right.
You're talking for being modulated so you can put on red dots, so you can put on flashlights, so you can do all these things. So I think they're going to wait because they spent a lot of money. And honestly, what needs to happen is if they're going to keep with it, they need to kind of do what they did with the M1A, the M16A1s, and they can convert it to an A2 like they did. They need to go, here's a conversion kit to make this safer. So that way, change the fire whatever.
Yeah, the firing control group or whatever it's called.
To make it so that because they have that out for the 320s now.
Yeah.
So if you had an old one's like, hey, if you take it in, here's the thing, you can go ahead at what they call it. They call it the UPT or something like that. I think it's what they call the UPT or something like that. I can't remember what it was standing for, but it's like UPT or something like that, or UPTV or something. I can't remember what it is. But no. It was not a UP. It was a voluntary. It wasn't a recall, but it was a voluntary upgrade, something rather, or whatever, to fix that problem. Right. You need to issue that to the military. So I think that's what's probably going to happen. I kind of think they're not going to cancel the contract. I think they're going to sit there. They're going to keep it. They already got all these manufactured. I think the Air Force is going to find something wrong. They're going to go back and say, hey, we covered your butt by arresting this innocent airman. And if you get arrested in the military, good luck, because the military, UCMJ, it's a flyby, not even flyby. We're making up the rules as we go.
Oh yeah.
It is not like where, like, I'll use an example. So let's say I got caught with a DUI here in the state of Florida, and it's a first time offense. You got 1 week of jail time, 30-day, your driver's license suspended for 6 months, and you got to do whatever. They give you, like, there's actual, like,
yeah,
you got to meet these certain requirements. Like, this is your punishment. Air Force, or not Air Force, the UCMJ would be like, oh, you got a DUI. You're going to be not just loss of rank and loss of pay, but also you're going to do 2.5 years in jail and military prison.
So you want to hear something funny?
But somebody else with the same exact thing might have a week or something.
I actually have a friend who got arrested and went to prison for a felony in the military, but in the civilian life, it's not a felony.
Yep. Well, the military has unique laws that the civilian side doesn't have. Like, for example, it is illegal to curse in the military.
Somebody got to tell the people in the military that.
So, yeah, it is 100% illegal. So, I'm not going to say how I know this, but I know it. So, we had filed a complaint against an MP when I was active duty and I was deployed because of what the MP did. Technically, MP did everything was fine. I'll just tell you what happened. They pulled guns on my wife. She dropped her ID accidentally, and they came out and they pulled guns on her. And yeah, she had a couple of infants in the back car. And she's like, Jesus Christ, it just dropped my ID, not a big deal. So, and they started cursing at her, like, you dumb fucking bitch or whatever, blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, okay. So we filed a complaint, and we put in the complaint the actual regulation where you are not allowed to curse in the military. And there's like 3 or 4. It is 100% you are not allowed to curse in the military.
Fun fact.
You are. So now it didn't go anywhere, but what we were trying to do was just make this soldier have a fucking hard time, because it's like she dropped her fucking ID. And so when she dropped her ID and they see her duck into the car trying to get it, like 3 cops fucking pull guns on. I was like, Jesus Christ, And then they said they couldn't find the ID. But then she's like, here it is, dumb fucks. It was written.
Let's just be happy they didn't have the P320. She might have accidentally gotten shot.
She would have been shot, yeah.
So here's what I think is actually going to happen with the 320s is I kind of agree with you that they aren't going to.
I think they're going to, I think the military is going to demand the upgrade. I think they're going to say, you guys got to give us the upgrades for free. We're not going to pay for that. And any new 320s that we're going to get have to come with this new.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's my thing is, now I don't know how many Beretta M9s were decommissioned.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how many of them are still around. What would they go to as a sidearm? Because you can't just call up somebody like Glock and be like, hey, Glock, I need 2 million pistols, and we need them like now. You can't. You can't just get an order that size.
Originally, Glock was one of the contenders to replace the M9.
Yeah, but the reason their Glock, their 19X was going to be the contender.
But the reason one of the big reasons the military didn't go with them is because Glock doesn't have a safety except for on the trigger, right? The trigger safety, and the military requires all their sidearms to have a thumb safety.
Well, I was just throwing out Glock as an example, but it could be a Smith & Wesson, it could be the M&P series with their thumb safeties.
But though, I think a lot of those, I would bet you money that those companies would be able to. They won't be able to have it like tomorrow, of course. I think military.
They probably have it within like 6 months.
Yeah, I think they would be able to do it. I think they would say, listen, the reason we put a contract out to do this and stuff because we have the capability to make this. Because you got to remember too, Glock provides firearms for police forces,
right?
And and all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
You see Glock does that, CZ does that, Smith & Wesson does it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of
even mechanics are doing it now.
Right. So they have probably the manufacturing capability to do it. I think what's going to hold them up more than anything else is there is a contract. Is what I
I'm willing to bet there's somewhere in that contract, if you got the right lawyer, there's somewhere in there that says they have to be safe for usage.
Right. And anyways, you were saying what you think was going to happen. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think what's going to happen is essentially like what you're saying, but primarily because of money and logistics, is unless there is a huge cachet of M9s floating around, which I don't think they're going to go back to it because they're trying to get away from them anyways. They can't just call up a company and be like, "Hey, we need these guns overnight." You know what I mean?
Mm.
Not to say they couldn't say, "Hey, we need to transition from this to this within this year," but you wouldn't be able to decommission a pistol that quickly without another backup, without something to be there to replace it. But yet, also on the same note, I'm thinking about this now. If it is truly considered an unsafe gun, they're going to have to.
Well, like I said, unless the military figure, I'm sure they know about that volunteer upgrade, whatever it was called. Unless they demand SIG, hey, you need to send us these kits so our armorers can put these in, and you guys are biting the bullet for cost of this. Where like I almost have a feeling that's probably what's going to happen. And I think, like I said, I think until then, I don't think the Army is going to stop using it. I don't think the Marine Corps is going to stop. I don't think the Navy is going to stop. I think they're going to just come up with a new temporary memorandum that says, hey, from now on, guys, when you're done with your service weapon, whatever, never carry it chambered. Yeah. Probably they might have like something like don't keep it chambered.
Start teaching them the Israeli ways of not carrying with one in the chamber,
or something, so that way it doesn't have the possibility of shooting. Like it's probably gonna have something like that until they come up with that. I think that's what's probably gonna. They're probably gonna want to use or go with that. That's my hunch. They spent way too much money on this, and there's no way the military is going to eat that. They're probably going to be like, we'll find a way to make these work. That's just what I think. I mean, you got to remember the thing too is I like to point out, like, military grade is not what people think.
No, when you see military grade, it's like, so what, is it going to break down on you?
Yeah, the military grade. Remember, it's made by the lowest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like it's not that good.
It's really not. I think the best thing that the military actually has done in the last, I would say, 50 years was probably their contract with Colt when they made the M4s.
And even then,
was it the 6929 or whatever it was?
Yeah, even then, Colt didn't keep that contract for long. It got out. I remember. I'll use an example. The MP unit I went to when I went out of active, went into the reserves. Not every gun was by Colt. We had a lot that was made by FN.
Yeah.
So it's going to be whoever can make the gun.
Well, I'm saying is that was probably their best value of buying something was the M4s by Colt. Those were still really good firearms.
They still are good.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, like literally, the reason why we haven't left the M16 style or AR style platform is because of how modular it is, how adaptable it is. Well, it's a very adaptable.
So when the military took over, when they were trying to get they were getting away from the M1 Grands.
M14 when it went to the M14.
Yeah, they were getting away from the M14. That's right. They're getting away from the M14s. They wanted something, and there were standards that they had to meet. The ammo couldn't weigh a certain amount to carry. The gun couldn't weigh a certain amount to carry. The overall length had to be something perfect, and that's when Eugene Stoner actually came up with this AR-15 platform and the 5.56 to make it work for what the military was looking for.
And it's funny, the military rejected it at first. It became a civilian gun first before it became a military gun.
They did reject it at first because they didn't think that the ammunition was. They didn't think the 5.56 round was. Well, at the time it was actually 223. I don't even think 5.56 was the first round. It was 223. They didn't think that it was going to work for human adversaries.
Oh, you're wrong. Oh well, they eventually learned. But
Yeah,
it's funny. It's just like the AR-15 was a civilian gun first before it became. It actually became a civilian gun first, and then they applied to make it a military gun.
right.
And then it got rejected for a while. But then I think they said a few police forces adopted the AR-15 back in the 50s. And then the military relooked at it and said, hey, well, here's some modifications you need to make. We need.
And I actually want to say the first build was actually AR-10s. I think it was trying to be chambered into 308 first, and it just wasn't successful.
Right. But it's funny is the like when I hear people talk about the AR-15, it's a weapon of war. I'm like, yeah, originally it was a civilian gun first. It was not a military gun first.
No.
It was a civilian gun first before it became military. But the military is what changed the AR platform in a way. So, for example, it was because of the military they went. It was labeled as self-cleaning.
It was, yeah.
When it initially started out as self-cleaning, and then they realized, shit, this shit's rusting, and it's not self-cleaning. So they had to change the plating on it, and then they said, okay, you have to start cleaning.
Well, it was originally blued, and then I believe they went to I don't know if they went to a nitride finish at first, but it was some sort of oxidized finish.
Right. And then they said, now you have to clean. Also, here's a forward assist, because if it gets a little dirty, it doesn't want to go on all the way, so you had to have forward assist.
Mm-hmm.
So they added a forward assist. And then they changed a few things as time went on. I think they changed the twist rate initially. I think it was...
I believe it started as a 1 in 9, and then they realized that the 1 in 7 was better for the overall, from 55 grain to like 77 grain.
Yeah, so... See, I'm not completely done with guns. It's surprising, isn't it? Huh? So listen to me over here talking about the history. Well, I have gotten into the AR debates before, and that's why I know all this, because I really studied this. It's like, no, originally it was a civilian gun before it became a military gun.
Well, it's funny, up until like 2010-ish, if you're going to buy an AR, you had to do what was called follow your ABCs. That means you had to get either an Armorlight, Bushmaster, or Colt, because anything else was complete shit.
Yeah.
Now, you got Palmetto State out there doing the Lord's work. You can buy an AR-15, slap a thing together for like $250, $300, man.
And they shoot great.
And they shoot amazing.
You got Omni Tactical, which is fairly inexpensive. It's actually really good. You got not Omni, American Tactical.
Yeah, ATI.
Delton
actually just went out of business apparently, though. I think I just saw that. The Deltons were awesome. They're like $400 rifles.
Shoot, Ruger has their own version, which is not bad. They're like 500.
Yeah, it depends on which one you get, but yeah, between like $500 to $800.
Yeah, they call it the AR-556, for example. It's like, I'm like, okay,
that's a little redundant, but all right. But then the M&P Sport, Radical Firearms has a really good one.
Shoot, what was the one that Walmart used to sell? Was actually
Bushmaster.
No. With my Bushmaster, it had the cat on it.
Cat.
It was like a Black Panther looking thing on it.
No, I am. Are you sure you're not thinking of Bushmaster? Because Bushmaster had like a. Oh no, they had the snake. Yeah, they had the snake.
God, it's gonna drive me nuts. DPMS.
Yes, DPMS. Yeah,
there we go.
DPMS. That's right. DPMS is at one point. DPMSs were like the lowest of the grade.
Oh, you got DPMS, but they were still good.
They worked. They did work.
That was the gun you upgraded.
Yeah. Well, see, here's when I talk to my gun friends about this stuff. This is what's hard, right? Is I would love like a Daniel Defense.
Right.
It's so hard for me to justify spending $2,000 on a rifle, though.
Right. I agree.
Because it's like, okay, so what does Daniel Defense have that we'll just talk about Palmetto. Because Palmetto is like probably the cheapest that you
Palmetto,
can get.
if you're listening.
Yeah, Palmetto, if you're listening. But so what does Daniel Defense have that Palmetto doesn't have? Well, let's take away that they are actually battle tested.
Right.
Let's take that away. They have a chrome line barrel. Well, Palmetto just launched their Guardsman series with the chrome line barrel, or Cold Hammer Forge, whichever one it is. Like, okay, everything's mil spec. Daniel Defense, everything there is mil spec, or just it's a little bit better. Like they have better triggers and stuff. Their furniture looks really cool, way better than just like a standard A2. But that's just furniture. You can put that on a Palmetto build if you want. Will it, instead of getting a 20,000 round life out of your barrel, maybe you get 25,000 round, but you're paying 4 times more,
right,
for that gun over more than 5, 6 times more for the Daniel Defense over the Palmetto. And even if it is a barrel issue, because a lower is a lower, you know, the lowers really mean nothing. So if you are concerned about it, buy a Palmetto and put in like a Daniel Defense barrel that you bought for like $400 or whatever ridiculous price they're selling their barrels for. And then you still got a sub $1,000 gun that theoretically should be the exact same as a Daniel Defense. You know, that's my take on it. And then there's also, are you familiar with BCM, Bravo Company? BCM they're probably by
God,
most,
it sounds familiar. I don't.
By most standards, they're probably the lowest tier of like battle tested like rifle. And you can buy their uppers. They're like $700-ish, depending on which upper you get, and some of them are a little bit more expensive than that. But you buy a BCMM upper for $750, $800, slap a PSA or Anderson lower or something like that on it, and you got a sub $1,000 gun that really should be tits, dude. That thing should be like balls to the wall, no problem at all. So why spend $2,500? Like I want the Warrior Poet Daniel Defense. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
It is a $3,000 rifle because it's got Warrior Poet on it. It comes with a red dot.
Well, you know, that's like tools. I think you're paying for the name.
You are.
You know, it's like a Craftsman, yeah, is good. Well, they used to be. They've kind of lost. But it's like, oh, but I got Snap-on. It's like, yeah, but yeah, you're paying for the name. It's like there are other good tools out there at a more reasonable price.
Pittsburgh's pretty nice.
You know what? Everybody craps on. I remember they used to be trash. Their tolerances have gotten a lot better on stuff like.
I smacked the shit out of Pittsburgh all day long, dude, and they hold up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm maybe a little hesitant to still use their like wrenches, but that's because back when I was a mechanic, 20 years ago, over 20, their tolerances were very lax. So you could get like a 13 millimeter.
It's really like a 13 and a half
millimeter. Yeah. So probably 113 will be like a 13 solid. Another one would be like a 12.75, and the other one's a 13 and a quarter. You're like, okay, now they've gotten, especially when you got like the Doyle and all that stuff, like they've really tightened up. Yeah. So like I'm not gonna shit on them too much, but like it's the same thing within the gun world. I think it's kind of like one of those bragging rights. Oh, I got a Daniel Defense. It's like, well, shit, you don't like money.
Yeah, well, no. Well, and so there's so many people now that, I mean, there's plenty of people who are not this way, but there's so many people, they buy their Daniel Defense or their nice staccato 2011s, and then they don't shoot
them. Yeah, it's like a collection piece. Well, I've said it, and you've heard me say it in class when we teach classes. I don't care what kind of gun you have. All right, if you don't shoot it, it's a shitty gun. Or if you're not willing, because have you seen me throwing my AR?
Yeah.
I know I did it the last time we had a class. I literally threw my AR, and then I picked it up. I swear you were there for that. I picked it up, and then I shot like 30 rounds out of it. Right? I mean, I didn't just like, I overhand threw it like 50 feet.
Well, the day we had the event out in
You might not have
April,
been there. You might not have been there. It might have been just me and Dex on that one.
Okay. But when we were having that event out in April, I had my rifle next to me. My rifle costs altogether probably about $2,500-ish.
Uh-huh.
And that thing was in the dirt. I was sitting in the chair. It was in the dirt next to me all day long.
I was telling students, like, if you're not willing to get your rifle dirty, or if it can't handle getting dirty, because there was one guy I was talking to years ago, was at a Bass Pro Shop, and he was talking about his Daniel Defense, and it was a really pretty gun. I mean, he showed me pictures. I'm not lying. Dude, it was chrome, and he had this metallic blue guard on. This thing was beautiful. Just holy smoke. It was a work of art. He refuses to take it out to an outdoor range and all this other stuff. He spent like over $6,000 on this gun. I'm like, why on earth? Like, to me, a gun's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It should be used like one. It should be, if it can't handle being beat up, it's a shitty tool. Yeah. You got a pretty tool, but that's all it is. It's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a unique way of looking. Like, I want my gear to be able to, like, my gear needs to be able to get beat up and work. It needs to be able to shoot. It needs to. So I don't give a shit what the cost is. I can't justify buying a Daniel Defense No, I'm not going to. And then the reason too is I'm like, hey, I'll just make up. I'll buy a Palmetto State, Palmetto, Palmetto Armory, AR for $600, complete, whatever, and it comes with a red dot on it and whatever else like that. And then the rest, I'm just gonna buy a butt ton of ammo.
Yeah,
like literally, I would rather do that.
Mm-hmm. So, like, and Palmetto has a phenomenal. Palmetto, you should really be listening to this. But Palmetto has a phenomenal customer. I'm drawing a blank.
Customer service.
Customer service. Thank you. So, buddy of mine, he built a PSA, and the bolt latch wasn't the spec. He called him up, and he even planned on having a different bolt latch put in. He just, instead of doing it on Friday when he got paid, he's like, I guess I'm going today and going to go get a new bolt catch. So he got a new bolt catch for it, but he called him up or sent him an email or whatever, told him what it was, and they're like, we'll just send you one. And he was like, no, that's fine. They still sent him one. And then I had an issue. This was actually I should not have gotten rid of this gun. I still know where this gun is at, though. But I had an issue with them where the trigger assembly, I believe it's the trigger assembly, I'm not sure. Every now and then, it would fire a couple rounds per trigger pull instead of just one. It didn't have a giggle switch. It didn't go to full auto. But there was something with the hammer and trigger to where it didn't catch just right every time. And you could work it really well to essentially be like, you couldn't work it well enough to know if it was going to be a 2 or a 6 round burst, but you could work it well enough to know you're about to burst.
Yeah.
You know? So that one was pretty cool. And they sent me a new trigger assembly for that. But I never put it in because I was like, I kind of like it like this.
This is one of those mistakes I don't mind.
This is what Bob Ross call him, a happy mistake.
A little happy accident, yeah.
Happy accident, yeah.
Yeah. So, where were we going with this?
Well, we were talking about the military contract with SIG, and
oh yeah,
then we started talking about the expensive guns.
Yeah. I don't think military's getting rid of SIG. I think they're going to hold on to them. Just kind of wrap up my thought process. I think they're just going to demand the upgrade to it, and I think they're going to demand. And I think SIG, and I think they're going to do it quietly too. I think they're going to be like, we're not going to publish it. We're not going to do anything. We'll send you guys the upgrade, and your armors can fix it, and then you'll stamp it as an A2.
Well, anything government related, they love to keep it a little quiet, keep things hush, and make it. They want you to believe it was a Mandela effect. Like that never happened.
What? No, they were always good.
Yeah, you're crazy.
And the military would never lie.
No. Our
government would never lie to its citizens. We're like the most honest government in the whole widest world.
Absolutely. I saw a comedian once, right?
It's Brandy over there. We have a woman in the gentleman's corner, but she's not in the gentleman's. The look she just did when I said they're the most honest, she was like, oh, bullshit. You know? the look you did, you were like, yeah, whatever. I heard your eyes roll on that one.
Dude, I saw a comedian. He said something I thought was pretty funny. He's talking about, he's like, I understand if you don't believe in all the conspiracy.
The one black comedian guy,
yeah,
right? Who's like in that suit.
Yeah, he's like, I believe if you don't believe in all conspiracies. That cool, but you don't believe in any?
Not one.
He's like, you don't think the government will lie to us? He's like, the government's taking care of millions of us. He's like, I got 3 kids. I lie to them.
He's like, I got 1 son. And I lie to him, and he says the N-word all the
time. That's what I'm saying. So if anybody believes that the government is really out there to just
they're not
do the best they can for us, no, not even close.
So I want to talk about something though a little bit more sensitive and very recent. The one school shooting that just happened up in Minneapolis at the Catholic school there. So if you guys aren't familiar, I'm sure you have by now. By the time this goes out, it'll probably be over a week since it's happened. There was another coward, and I never consider, first off this, if you're a person who decides you're going to hurt kids in any way, to get back at people that you deemed wronged you, you're a coward. You're not a victim. You're not, oh, because they're doing that, like they're like, oh, there was 20, what do they say? There was 20 casualties. I don't consider the shooter to be a casualty. You're not. You're a nothing in this equation. So you're not a victim. You're not a casualty. I don't care about you. You're a coward. You're a piece of shit. And if somebody's wronged you, going after the kids is probably the most cowardly thing you can do. And unless you got some psychos out there, nobody thinks you did anything great. Nobody thinks you're a hero, and you were pushed to this because of some political ideology or whatever. However, in this case, I'm not going to say it was completely politically driven. I do believe that this person was. I'm I'm fairly religious. I'm a pretty staunch Catholic. All right, I don't try to
You're a
bring.
horrible Catholic.
I'm a bad Catholic. But I am pretty. I am like I left Catholicism, became an atheist, then became agnostic, became born again, then became a Catholic. I like reconverted
He got
myself.
to choose, and he chose Catholic.
Yeah. Well, I blame a buddy of mine. He was talking so much crap about Catholics and all this evil stuff. And I'm not saying the Catholic Church hasn't had its conspiracies and those things that it's done. But I've also started pointing out, like, well, look at this. Look at the Lutheran Church there. Look what the Baptist Church did. Look what these guys. I'm
just mad at the Catholics because they got a lot of cool shit underneath the Vatican and in the.
Well, they go hunting vampires and monsters and stuff.
And I just want to know what kind of cool shit they got. They probably don't have anything. They're probably just gassing us up. Like, look at all the stuff we got that you don't know about.
But like, they would start saying like all these things. And I remember at like one of the reasons I left, it was like, you're right. Why are we praying to the saints? We're not supposed to be praying to the saints. We're supposed to be praying to. And I remember looking it up and then understanding that Catholics don't use the word pray in the same meaning that other Christian religions do. Yes, Catholics are Christians. People go, no, they're not. Yes, they are. We worship Jesus Christ. We believe in the Holy Trinity. All other denominations came from Catholicism. Okay, we are Christians. But it's like, you're right. But the way we pray is not. Pray doesn't mean worship. We worship Jesus. Pray means to ask or to beg. So think of Old English, pray tell me your woes. We're not saying worship me and tell me what's wrong with you. No, we're saying please tell me what your problem is. So we use pray in that term. So when we pray to a saint or we pray to them, we're not, if you actually listen to the prayers, we'll say like our Hail Mary, right? If you listen to the prayer, it says, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, blessed the fruit of the womb, Jesus. Now, blessed the fruit of the womb, Jesus. Holy Mother Mary, pray for us sinners. So now we're asking her, hey, can you also pray for us now and at the hour of our death? So we're asking, hey, can you pray for us? We're asking her to also pray. Notice how we didn't say to her, hey, save me. No. We know she can't save us. Only Jesus can. But we know you're close with Jesus, so can you also pray?
Put in a word with the big guy.
And that's the idea behind it. So we look at praying to saints and even to loved ones as asking for we're asking for them. Hey, we know you're in heaven. Well, we hope they're in heaven. We don't know who's in heaven for sure. But we go, we know you're in heaven. So since you're already there, can you put a good word in for us? To us, that's no different than if I ask you to pray to me or ask Brandy or ask somebody to pray. But then we get, oh, but now you're talking to the dead. No, we're not talking to the dead because Jesus says what? I'll give you everlasting life. So if you are in heaven, you are not dead. You are alive.
Because Jesus defeated death.
Yes. Now, if you are in hell, you are dead. Because that is, so to us, if you are in heaven, you are living. So we're not praying or talking to the dead. We are talking to somebody who's alive in heaven. So I want to throw something out there. This gentleman would go so hard on the Catholics, and after a while, I was like, yeah, why? He would say these things, so I would look it up, and then I'll be like, oh, he's just misinformed. I remember one time he's like, if the Catholic Church just donated this much money, world hunger would be gone. So, and I showed him, look how much money we donated. It was like some ridiculous amount more. It was like I don't remember, like something like $30 million more than what he said. I was like, yeah, world hunger still, and that's the Catholic Church donating to hunger. I'm like, how much money has your church donated? So like, I kind of, because I did all the research and I actually looked into what they believe, I was like, no, actually, I agree with that. And it convert. Now, I don't try forcing other people into Catholicism. I don't do anything like that. I'm just happy if you believe in Jesus. Like, honestly, I'm like, real happy you believe in Jesus. If that's what you got, go for it. Anyways, going back to the school shooter, I think this person was demonically not possessed, but some type of obsession, meaning not like he's obsessed with demons. And I say he. Because the last the last 9 school shooters have all been leftists and trans people.
Yep.
All right. There's something going on, and it's not because they're trans necessarily. It's, I believe, honestly, the ideology.
I also believe that there is showing a clear connection between messing with the biological chemicals and hormones in a body and the way that it's affecting the brain in negative ways.
So, well, this person even said they regret transitioning. They regret being trans, but the reason they didn't want to go back, they kind of stopped it, but they kept the long hair, was because he was so tied up into that ideology and how he would be perceived. And one of the reasons why I can't say this person in particular was necessarily politically motivated, even though there was a lot of political motivation. Like, he hated Trump, he hated a lot of conservatives.
Yeah, did you see the stuff that he would like wrote all over his guns and magazines and stuff?
So, but he also liked some right-wing shit at whatever. So it's like,
did you see that Brandon Herrera put out a video? Apparently, he met him at SHOT Show. Now, Brandon Herrera says he does not remember him.
Right.
SHOT Show, and he reached out to SHOT Show, and they said that they don't have proof that he was or wasn't there.
Right.
But I guess the guy, he had like gave Brandon Herrera a shout out before he went and did his like killing spree or something like that.
But you know what though? The one guy that tried to kill President Trump,
he was wearing a Demolition Ranch shirt.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, like, so it's like, you know, sometimes I think there's like, we're going to just sprinkle in some stuff in there to make the right look bad. So, but the reason I know for sure this person's probably leftist, and why I believe it's leftism, and, you know, is because the left do not value life. So, first off, I think there was demonic obsession, not mean like he's obsessed, but there was demonic influences upon him.
There was the drawing that they showed of him that he drew of him looking into the mirror and a demon looking back at him.
Yeah, he felt that he was looking at a demon. And then something like, he wrote something in Russian. I think it said, I don't want to be like this, or I don't want to be something like that. So I think there was literally demonic obsession.
And I think he also wrote "Help Me" too in Russian.
And so I honestly believe that there was some demonic influence in this, because one, he talks about this, and two, some people are like, oh, mental illness. And the thing is this: a lot more conservatives go to church than liberals. All right, period. It's just a fact. We give more in donations and charities. We do more in the way of connecting with Jesus and our belief in a higher power. Leftists don't. A lot of them, in order to fill the void of what religion provides, and people don't understand this, I think there is an inherent need biologically to wonder if there is, or to have some type of higher power.
Well, right? I absolutely believe that, because just the way that our mind works, our mind cannot comprehend infinity, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what you think, you always have to believe there's a start and a stop, right? So if we believe that we can't believe that when you die, nothing happens. So what I think has happened is a lot of these people that cannot, there's that hole in their heart where it's, there's not a greater purpose. There's nothing greater than life. Like for us, we believe as Christians, because you're a Christian. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not Catholic. Well, we're not all perfect. I'm kidding. If being Catholic is perfect, I don't want to be perfect.
So I will give you this. The one denomination that knows the least about the Bible are Catholics. And the church constantly tells us, read your Bible. And it's like the Catholics don't. I will give that to them. Like, that's like the one thing, like, Catholics, you got to do better. Start reading your Bible. Anywho. Well,
touching on what you just said a little bit there, is I saw a clip from, it was Steve Harvey. I like a lot of stuff that Steve Harvey says, and I like a lot of the stuff he says. Some of the stuff he gets a little out there with sometimes, but I saw him. He was talking about how he doesn't necessarily enjoy being around the company of people who do not believe in God.
Mhm.
He says, because if you don't believe in God, where is your moral compass?
Right. And see, that's a problem is that with a lot of leftists, for me, and so I got in this debate, and we're going to go back into the school shooter thing here. It kind of all ties in. For Christians, we have our morality is absolute. It's not subjective. It's absolute. Morality is not subjective. To a lot of leftists, morality is subjective. And here's why I say that. Okay. If you ask a leftist, where does your morality come from? They'll say from what? Society, right? A lot of them will say from society or whatever. Like, okay, so you would have been fine with slavery. Well, no. Why? Society back in the before we ended slavery in the United States, it was normal, it was common. And they're like, yeah, but even religious people had slaves back then. Yes, that doesn't mean it was right. We're acknowledging that as Christians, that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the worst things that we could have done. I'm glad we acknowledge that. But it was literally Democrats trying to keep the slavery around.
But here's the other thing too: is if you're trying to run off of societal standards, we still run off very similar standards as to what the founding fathers were trying to put forward. A lot of obviously like slavery and stuff like that. There's been changes, but a lot of the core beliefs came from the Christian beliefs.
Yeah, Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah.
Well, I go on this one too. So, for example, there was this. I remember I studied this in sociology when I was in college, and they were talking about morality. What is
I can't
right?
believe this guy got accepted into a college.
I know, right?
He paid his way in.
I did. Totally paid my way in. It's like, I'll give you money if I can take this class.
I bet they accepted it too.
They did. One of the things we had.
One of the things we
were talking about was morality, right and wrong. What is right? What is wrong? And we got into a subject like, okay, so if you're in there was this tribe, I can't remember where after a certain age, they kind of like kick the kids out of the home and that's it. You're on your own. And they're like 8 or 9 years old. And the parents would laugh if they were killed by cheetahs, a tiger, or whatever. Something I can't remember. Like that. And a lot of us like, oh my God, that's wrong. But for them, that was, that's fine. Like, so subjectively, and if you're basing it off the society, and that society, that's normal. That's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong to us.
I mean, would you believe that raping women is considered wrong?
Absolutely, 100%.
Would you believe stoning people to death is wrong?
Yes, depending on the crime. But yes, yes.
Do you believe that women should have at least some equal rights?
I think so. Yeah.
Because our society believes this, but there is active societies right now that a lot of these leftists are actually trying to stand up for that believe that stuff is good.
So, and we'll see, and that's the thing is, so like if you ask, if for us, our morality is not subjective, it's an absolute. Murder is wrong, period. Punching somebody in the face is wrong, period. It is.
Some people
need it.
I'm willing to bet there is sometimes God's like, yeah, well, I didn't see that.
Now that also, there's also different, like, okay, so here's one. So like they did like this, they were asking, going around, I can't remember where YouTube channel I saw, they were asking a bunch of students like, okay, if you found out this person here was a Nazi, would you think it'd be okay for you just to punch him out of nowhere? Just punch him. He didn't do anything. He's just a Nazi. He didn't do anything. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't steal anything. He did nothing. Is it okay? And people were like, yes. I'm like, that there is wrong. So if we made it legal to punch a Nazi in the face, you could just do it.
Yeah.
That's wrong. You're committing violence against somebody for no reason other than you disagree. Now, I disagree with Nazis. I want to make that abundantly clear. I was using it as an extreme for our point of an argument. This person's literally done nothing wrong. You can't punch him in the face. You're going to do one of two things. Either, or one of three maybe. One is that hopefully the punch will make them convert to your side. Two, it's going to kill them if you hit them hard enough or whatever. If it does repeatedly. Or three, they're going to go deeper into their beliefs and then look to commit violence. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So punching somebody in the face, not good. Society says it's good, but morally it's wrong. So that's the thing about a lot, because a lot of people believe in Christianity will look at us like this. Our morals are absolute. Now that doesn't mean Christians are perfect. That doesn't mean we do not veer off from those morals. All right, it doesn't mean that. So here's a good one: premarital sex. I guarantee you, 98% of Christians engage in premarital sex. Guarantee it. We all know it's wrong.
I definitely don't.
Right? We all know it's wrong. Right? So that doesn't mean we're perfect. But when we look at things like murder, sanctity of life, when we look at certain things like that, all of us are pretty steadfast. You don't hurt children. You don't hurt women. Okay? Period. That's why you have people, we were talking about this earlier, I'm not pro-life. I am anti-abortion. You can't be pro-choice. You're either pro-abortion or you're anti-abortion or pro-life. Pro-life, you're against the death penalty and you're against abortions. I am not against the death penalty. I am all for the death penalty. However, I'm anti-abortion. And then even if you're a pro-choice person, you'd be like, well, I personally would never have an abortion, but I'm not going to stop others from having it. That makes you pro-abortion. It's like me. I don't drink alcohol. I don't like it. It's not my thing. But I'm not going to try to pass laws to ban the sale of alcohol, to ban the use of. In fact, I'm the one person that's like, hey, we should make it so you're 18 to drink. Like, I'm that guy. So I'm pro-alcohol.
It's like smoking weed. I don't smoke weed, but if somebody wants to toke up, go for it, man. If that's what you need to help calm you down or just enjoy yourself, whatever, go for it.
If it just didn't stink so much, God, I fucking hate the smell of weed.
I actually like the smell of it.
God, it stinks so bad. God, it annoys the hell out of me. I told Darby the other day, we were at a Home Depot parking lot. We could tell somebody was in the parking lot. And I was like, God, this is the only reason why I want it to still be illegal, because then you wouldn't smell it every goddamn where. That's the only reason I want it illegal.
I like the smell.
I
don't think I would want my house to like be potpourried with it.
I love cigars, but I never smoke inside the house, you know. But anywho, going back to the whole thing. So again, most of us are anti. If you can't, I honestly believe you can't be a conservative and be pro-abortion. You just can't be.
I believe you can.
I disagree.
I believe you can. I don't think that fits the major standards of being a conservative. But if, let's say, somebody has very right-leaning ideas, very, get rid of the or keep everything for the Second Amendment, get rid of all gun laws, supporting.
Then you would be a libertarian, in my opinion. You wouldn't be a conservative.
Well, I don't think that we can just pick and choose what things like that necessarily, because it's like, I'm a conservative, but I also think we should legalize weed. Most conservatives are against the legalization of weed.
I don't know. I think they did a study and most conservatives are for it.
Maybe now.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that was a big thing. It was a leftist idea. Gay marriage. Not necessarily gay marriage.
Unionship.
Unionship. Sure, we'll go with unionship. If you want to get married to another dude or whatever, be my guest.
Most of us. No. Here's the thing. I'll agree with you on that. And yes.
So that's why I say, like, because if you agree with almost everything else, but outside of that, I'll still say you're conservative. You just have a different view on that.
Yeah. See, like, to me though, to me, I get it. To me, I go, you're not conservative, because one of the things conservatives have, in order to be, like, in my opinion, to be a true conservative, you have to. The Constitution is your, for lack of better words, that's your Bible for the country. Okay. There, boom. And you also have to be a person that understands the sanctity of life, right? That's my whole thing there. Now, everything else in my area is like gray, because, like, for example, I don't care if you're two gay guys, you want to get married. Don't force the churches to do it. If the courts want to do it, fine. If you want to have a union, fine. Right. And just leave it at that. We shouldn't have parades. We shouldn't have like that's kind of my mentality of it. It's like nobody cares, okay? But I mean, I can see your argument. I get what you're coming from, but to me, it's just one of those things. Like you have to have a sanctity of life. No.
I'm looking at like an outsider looking in kind of thing. Like, do I personally think, as a conservative, you would be supporting abortion? No, I don't. But
Now, I'm not a heathen. You know, even though I am personally against it, I will be like, all right, so for example, this is a personal thing. Even if you're raped, you shouldn't abort the baby. That's a personal thing. However, with that being said, considering that is less than 1%
less than 1%.
of all abortions, I would be fine with keeping that legal across the board. It's like, hey, if it's raped, I'm sorry, if you were raped and then you got pregnant because of that, then fine. I completely understand wanting to abort that. Like, I get that. So therefore, keep that legal. Like that's how I view that.
And and the incest, the rape, all that stuff makes up less than 1%.
And also, and I know, and even though this literally is all 50 states have that exception for their all 50 states.
Yep.
Every single one. Even I've heard like, I'm not gonna say who, Democrats say, no, this state absolutely. I was like, nope, that state, and I showed them. Here's the exceptions. And they're like, remember the one girl that got pregnant? She was 10 years old and she had to leave Ohio or whatever.
Right.
Ohio had the exception. If you were like literally a child and you were pregnant, they would have performed. Like, I'm all for that because you do have to then worry about the life of the mother. And it's a 10-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
She may not survive that pregnancy. We cannot risk that. If you're 17, you're probably going to be fine.
Right.
Right. Now, with that being said, like if it was rape, go ahead and get rid of it. I understand. But if it was consensual, hey, you were 17, you made a dumb mistake. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Your actions have consequences.
And you know what? I'm willing to bet that I don't have the number on it, but I'd be willing to bet that 99.999% of all parents who decide to keep the kid don't regret it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. Like 99%, probably.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, there's a small percentage I'd be like, oh, I guess it would have been better if I just aborted. But who really? I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who had children that were not planned, and I can't think of. But I can't think of anybody who was like, I wish I would have just aborted them. No, I know plenty of people who have been like, if I would have used a condom, I wouldn't be having kids right now.
Yeah, see, like
they're pretty cool.
Like literally, like when my wife got pregnant, the very first thing when she got pregnant with any of our kids, I remember like when we got pregnant, Jasmine is my middle child in particular. That was like the biggest shocker for us because like she was a birth control baby and almost Irish twins. Okay. So a year and 5 days apart is their birthdays. Right. So from my oldest daughter to my middle daughter, very first thing was I looked at her and said, we're not getting rid of it. Like that's a hard line. We're not doing it. My wife's like, oh yeah, no, we're definitely keeping, because to us, life starts at conception. It absolutely does. You know, and again, we're kind of going off topic. I want to get back on topic. So we look at the vast majority of conservatives are anti-abortion. I'm not gonna say pro-life because a lot of us love the death penalty.
I'm for it.
You know, and the reason why is because if you did a heinous crime, like say kill a kid or 2 or 3 or more, I honestly believe is if there's no doubt that you did it, I think we should accelerate the death penalty.
Like, I don't like. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that they'd need a fair trial, dude. We know you did it.
So, like for example, if you on camera, 100 witnesses saw you come into a school, shoot up the place. And they go, and you didn't kill yourself, or the cops didn't kill you, and they arrested you. This is what should happen. Here it is, jury, guilty. Okay, immediately go to the gallows.
Yeah,
you don't get to go sit in prison for 20 years and all that stuff. No, you immediately get that.
How much money do the taxpayers have to spend every year on the absolute heinous people that are still in prison, who have been in prison, who will remain in prison?
Yeah. Now, with that also being said, I also think we need to make the death penalty. I want it to be absolute, meaning the Innocence Project has saved a lot of people from death row because they're innocent. So it's one of those things, unless there is concrete, I mean like irrefutable proof, 100%, you did it. There's literally no other way. Like they know it was you through and through. There is no shadow of doubt. There's nothing that like there's video evidence, there's DNA, like whatever, you get the death penalty. But there isn't. If it's like, hey, look, you're getting tried, but you're found guilty, but we cannot prove for certain. And it's funny, that's when people say that's why you're supposed to get, if the jury, is like, you don't, a hung jury.
Yeah, get like a hung
but
jury
like
or something.
what I'm talking about is irrefutable proof. Because like technically almost all evidence is circumstantial. Literally, almost all evidence,
yeah,
all right?
it almost
Literally,
is.
if there isn't concrete evidence that was you, concrete, then you don't get the death penalty. But if there's concrete evidence it was you get you. And I'm not cruel, mostly. I think we should kill you the quickest way, a bullet to the head. It's literally painless.
I'm actually kind of against that idea because I want there to be a true fear into I don't want you to think, okay, well at least I'm going to get a bullet in the head. I wouldn't be opposed to just bringing back hangings, public hangings at that. I really wouldn't be opposed to it because then it gives you something. If you have no moral compass to guide you,
right?
At least maybe you'll have enough fear to say, look, I don't want that.
It's a valid point. I respect that. So my whole thing is, if you are a school shooter, you're this or whatever, you're a coward, you're a piece of crap. If I've done something to offend you, don't go after my kids, come after me. And see, the idea is and here's the thing, here's why I say
but that's why they're cowards.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is why I believe there was some type of demonic obsession where the demon was putting these thoughts in this person's head, was influencing him, doing all this stuff. Here's why I say that. Satan, the devil, his goal is this. He knows he cannot hurt God. There's nothing he can do to hurt God. The only way he can hurt God is by separating us from God. So if he can separate us from God, he wins. That's what he wants. So,
well, that's why I think it's Isaiah. I can't tell you the chapter or the verse, but I'm pretty sure it's in Isaiah. They're saying no weapon formed against you, or no weapon can be formed against you when you believe in God. And that's what they're talking about, the weapons of Satan. And it's not no weapon as in like this knife can't near your
that's literally what they call the armor of God.
Right.
So the idea is, now how can I separate you from God? Well, what if? So the devil's always going to work hard against happily married couples is going, right? If I can get the husband and wife to separate, and now they're going to tear apart the family. That's good, because if we can tear apart the family structure, it's the same as if you're separating us from God. The way that the devil works is everything is almost, for a lack of a better word, symbolic.
Metaphoric.
Yeah, so like, for example, devil can't...
Not metaphoric.
One of the reasons why the devil hates humans is because we can create life, but he can't. The only way he can do anything with life is by possessing it and then perverting it. So like, they cannot create life. They can't do any of that.
That's why they say the angels are jealous of us.
We're actually closer to what God is because we have the capability of creating life.
Well, that's what, like I said, like you just said, that's one of the reasons they say angels are jealous of us, is because we do have that ability.
And we all, so anyways.
I don't know if jealous is the right word.
Right. And they're not, because jealousy would be a weird sin, but like, I get what you're saying. But
envious, maybe?
No, maybe, I don't know. But going back on topic. So what the devil's then definitely going to do is, well, then how can I separate this person from God? So if I can separate the person from God, that hurts God. God's the father. He's the parent. We're the children. If I can separate, that really hurts him. What if I go and not spiritual, and I'll bring it back to earth. What can I do to hurt the parents the most? Separate them from their children. That's why divorces is really hard on, like, particularly the fathers. If you take the kids away from the father, it hurts the father more than anything else, because you're separating us from your children. But what if they kill your children? Guess what that's going to do? It happens a lot. I was praying and praying and praying, and my child died. Now they're going to curse God. So now the devil got what he wanted. I took his person's child away from him, which is exactly what he likes. He caused chaos. He caused destruction. Now this person now is separating himself from God voluntarily. They win. So what I think happens is that you get these people, these school shooters, they don't have They don't understand the sanctity of life. They don't value it because they're very pro-abortion. They're pro-abortion up to birth. You look at, you okay? Okay.
Are you doing okay?
They're
Been very quiet.
they are pro-abortion up to birth. If we look at Colorado, you can have an abortion just before you have birth, and they will kill the baby. It's gruesome. I don't recommend, but if you want, there's videos out there. Go watch it. And what happens with those? They are at one point Virginia tried to pass the post-birth abortion, and most people don't know this. Yes, it was supposed to be for severely disabled children, but it also included children with Down syndrome and autism. So they're fine with that. They're fine with euthanizing people. If you, I want to kill myself, they're for that. So they have all these things, and then they push, we're overpopulated, which we are not. We are not overpopulated. You can take the entire population of the world, and they'll fit in California comfortably. Think about that. Then the rest of the world's land will be like, so we can do it. We're not overpopulated, but they're pushing all these things to stop life, to reduce life, all these things, right? So there is no sanctity or there's no value. They don't view life as valuable. So here you get all this leftist nonsense, and then they think, oh, well, the thing is I'm trans and conservatives hate trans. Well, no, we don't hate trans people. Every conservative I've ever met, one, we don't care that you're trans. We just don't want you to push that shit onto our kids. Because if you go back 20, 30 years ago, there was trans people. You didn't hear about it every day because nobody cared, because it was like, that's your own personal thing. That's you do you. That's fine.
My mom used to know somebody in the 60s that used to go do the drag queen and shit. Or maybe it was the 70s, but still.
But, and here's the thing though. Here's why I also think it was demonic. One, this kid, 23-year-old man, really, that was trans, regretted being trans, said they wish they weren't brainwashed, but they couldn't change their way they were at because they were viewed wrong or some stuff like that. Felt they were brainwashed into being trans. But here's another thing too. But they couldn't give it up. Do you know a demon is referred, you were bringing this up earlier, as they, them, whatever? Well, first off, demons are, so you're never possessed by one demon. And you're never influenced or obsessed by one. It's multiple demons, right? They always come. And that's why God talked about, he used the parable about he cleaned the man's house. And he said, okay, now, like you swept the house and he got it clean. But now, you know, if you don't maintain it, it's going to be dirtier. It's going to come back dirty. And that was the same thing as if he cast the demons out, now you have to go back to praying. You have to go back. You now have to fill yourself with God, because if you don't, those demons can come back, and they can come back stronger with more. So here now you got these demons. They always say they and them. There's always more than one. But then they also refer them to themselves in the singular a lot. But demons have no gender. They don't. If you ever look at pictures of demons, they'll be male looking with boobs or something along those lines. You'll see something that's like, oh, they're male. They have male genitalia and breasts. So you can look at it, and I'm not saying trans people are possessed by demons. That's not it, okay? But what I'm getting at is when you give into the ideology that promotes death, reducing population, has cast out any kind of spiritual belief that promotes a higher power, and now you're now throwing in, you're confused by your gender, and then you then start to build this ideology, and you see it in a lot of the left. You and I were talking about this a little earlier, which is one of the things with obsession is that you'll start creating thoughts in your head that are not actually your thoughts. It's planted there by a demon. So an example would be like, let's say you and I got into a fight, and it's just a stupid fight, right? It means nothing to me, but you took it a whole different way. All of a sudden you go, you know, Roman's just using me for my body. Roman is just doing this because I know guns, Roman, whatever it is. And the truth is, that is not true at all. But some reason you thought that.
It's really because you think I could be the face of modern sword because I'm so pretty.
Exactly it. So what happens is I think that's what happens with a lot of these people, and in particular, you know, the last 9 shooters were trans people, and I'm not saying trans people do this. And also, I always say this too. It's not all leftists, but it's always a leftist that's done the school shootings. If you look at the last like 20 of them, they're leftists. So,
or it's have you seen the meme, the Simpsons meme, where they look back at Bart. They're like, "Say the line, say the line." And then it goes back to Bart. He's wearing an FBI hat, and he's like, "He was on our radar."
So, but what you're finding is that they aren't filling their hearts with love or compassion. They say they are, but they're not. It's actually vitriol, and it's a lot of hate.
Well,
all right?
have you
seeing
noticed...
a lot. You're seeing it then too. This conservatives hate trans people. We don't hate gay people. We don't hate trans people. What we're doing is we're trying to stop the influx of you pushing trans ideology on children. We're trying to stop you because the vast majority of trans people are not really trans.
No,
they're not. True, honest to God, like Blair White is a good example of a true trans person. This person was trans before it was cool to be trans. And she's a conservative. And I will refer to her as she because she looks very much like a girl and it's a guy and she still has this tallywhacker. But
tallywhacker, I haven't heard that one in a long time.
So, but you listen to it, what she said was what she went through, and she is not, I don't know how to put it. There's trans people out there that are trans because they think
they're going to get acceptance from it,
or yeah, there's a sexual component to it. There's acceptance to it. They want to be on the right side of history, whatever. And it's like, no, you are literally going, and then they're going on SSRIs, like hormone blockers, all these other things. It's like you're screwing up so much, like say, in your brain, and and then you become very malleable. You become easily influenced by outside evil forces.
Well,
so when I see what this kid's looking at, he thinks he sees a demon. There probably was a demon. There was something probably influencing him negatively, and I honestly believe. And then what does he do? He attacks again a Christian school. It's
well. So here's something, and I don't mean to toot my own horn by doing this, but just a few minutes ago, you even were like, yeah, I can kind of agree with that. Is when we were talking about the if you believe in abortion,
right?
You can still. I've been like, yeah, you can still be conservative. And you're like, yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying. Neither one of us condemned. So if somebody came in right now as a conservative and was like, yeah, I believe, neither one of us were condemning them.
No,
neither one of us were like, get the fuck out. You can't be here. You're not a conservative. But a lot of the leftists do that.
They'll do that. If you don't toe the line.
If you do not follow everything that their leftist agenda is believing, it's like, then you're not accepted.
Right.
You can't be a part of that. And deep down, that's a basic human need, is the wanting of acceptance. And it doesn't necessarily mean by a group of people. You could want your kids to like you. You want acceptance from something, somewhere, whatever it may be. So if you're looking for some sort of identity in this political group and they're not accepting you, especially if it's like, I don't want to be trans, I don't like this idea, but I have nowhere else to go. The right hates me, so I've been taught. The right hates me. I don't want to transition back now because that'll make the left hate me.
And the truth is, most conservatives are like, why don't you come hang out with us and you'll see we don't hate you. And in fact, if you were to come up and say, I don't want to be trans anymore, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be very supportive. Like, that's fine. Transition back. It's okay.
You know what most of us are actually probably going to do? We're going to ask them, are you okay? Are you good? Like, what's going on with you that makes you... I don't support your idea to transition to begin with, but are you doing okay? Why do you want to go back? Like, we're going to actually be a little concerned for you. Like, is everything good? Yeah, we want you to come back, but listen, if that's what you want, that's fine. What is going on with you?
Right. And the thing is, there's no compassion on the left, even though they try to say there is. There really isn't. If you listen to the vitriol, the stuff. So after the shooting happened, what was it they did? You heard them condemn prayers. Condemn the prayers. We need to stop with these thoughts and prayers. These children were praying in there and God didn't. It's like, first off, a prayer is not a shield. It's not going to stop bad things from happening. Okay?
Well, I remember, just to bring us back to Sandy Hook, somebody brought that up and said, where was your God? And I forget if it was a reverend or a priest, or it could have been the principal. I don't know. It was, you won't let us have him in the school anymore.
Right. Well, you know, it's funny. People talk about, oh, you guys are banning books in schools. You know what the first book that was banned in schools?
Bible.
The Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else. And I've had people say, no, that's not true. There's a Bible in my kid's school. You know, when I went to school, I couldn't find a single Bible anywhere.
I can't recall.
Couldn't find anything with the Bible.
Can you recall seeing a Bible anywhere in your school?
You know, I asked my kids in their schools right now if they can find a Bible. You know, they can't find a Bible right now in their schools. the Bible's been banned. They can't have it in there.
You know, I was so happy because Violet, my 5-year-old, just started kindergarten, and you know, I was so happy that she knows the Pledge of Allegiance now. They're still doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I was like, that is awesome. I'm super thrilled about that. I hope it never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But it surprised me, and I shouldn't be surprised by that, but it surprised me.
Right. Well, you know how many people I see not stand for the pledge, but anyhow, so the problem I think we see a lot is that these people that are shooting up the schools, besides being absolute cowards, and see, that's my first go-to thing. You're a coward if you're going after kids, right? But
you know, not to say that in any way, shape, or form was a Columbine okay, but that one made sense. It was kids who were getting bullied by other kids and decided to take actions into their own hands, drastic right. actions.
Not saying it's right, exactly.
But it made sense.
Right.
That could make sense.
So, and then the next school shooting didn't happen for a long time.
Right. Not on that level, at least.
Yeah. So now here you got these school shootings that happen a lot, and they're always these leftists. And you start to see a pattern, and it's what is going on. It's literally the indoctrination of hatred. If you go to the right, you go to anything, what do we do? You go to the right, you see people talk about life, you see them talk about God. We were joking the other day. We were sending text messages. And out of nowhere, I just talk about, hey, we were talking about Jesus.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, I had said something about being stupid or something, and I'm like, and you were like, yeah, you are. I'm like, yeah, I should really change my ways, and you're like, yeah, you should accept Jesus or something like that.
Yeah, and then we started talking like literally just like, and of course we're making light-hearted jokes about it, but at the same time,
I was like, yeah, I heard about that guy. He did that really cool trick with the water to wine.
I said it wasn't a trick. I said it was it was a miracle, or something like that. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, he has got this guy named Peter, you know, like, and he's like, yeah, then his friend cut off a dude's ear. I was like, yeah, and then Jesus put his hand on his head and was like, got your ear, and gave it back, you know. But the thing though is that the right really does honestly promote, like, we promote family, we promote unity. You see, the left doesn't promote family. The left literally doesn't promote family. They promote women should have careers. There's nothing wrong with having a career, but you can also say, but it's fine. Like, my wife got so much crap when she was a stay-at-home mom. When she went back to work, she didn't have to, but when she went back to work, they were like, oh, did your husband make you? And she's like, no. And she's like, I would have never done it. You gave up your career. I'm like, what's wrong with being a stay-at-home mom? It is a wonderful thing. You know, she got to watch my kids grow up. She got to see all these milestones. I was like, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with these traditional values. So yes, we do promote traditional values.
I would be a stay-at-home mom. I'd be a great stay-at-home mom.
Honestly, I would be a stay-at-home dad in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't be a stay-at-home dad. I'd be a great stay-at-home mom, though.
You would look nice in a dress and an apron. You got the legs for it.
I would just wear the apron and nothing else.
Gentlemen, I'm just saying. But so yes, we do promote some of these more traditional values, but we promote we do promote friendship, unity, coming together, stuff. Right now, I know it seems very divisive on both sides. I absolutely understand. But, you know,
well, so you know what's actually funny? So I've been listening to a lot of Charlie Kirk. I like listening to Charlie Kirk.
He does have a weird smile.
He definitely has a weird smile. But anyway, so I'm listening to it as I'm driving, right? I'm not watching it, but I'm listening to it as I'm driving. And I'm thinking to myself,
are you sure you're okay? Is it the cigar smell? I think you're lying. That's why I actually had the fan blowing towards you, so it blow this.
Okay. Are you good? You're also welcome to go inside. Darby will not tell you to get out.
Okay. You can play that Peloton game, whatever the hell it is.
Peloton.
I don't know what it's called out. I just remember it's Peloton. I know it's not Peloton.
Anyway, what was it? Oh, so Charlie Kirk. I was watching or listening to him while I was driving. And I was just thinking in my head, like, if Charlie Kirk was coming around here, I'd go, of course. And like, if I got the opportunity to sit there and, you know, talk to him, what would I say? And so I actually had this thought. And I thought, you know, and you know, if I'm speaking to Charlie Kirk, you know, I'm a Second Amendment loving conservative dude. I believe that our whole country is in complete division. And as much as I like you and like listening to you, I believe that you're also part of the problem. And I believe, and I do understand that where he's coming from, and the fact that I'm going to debate you and I'm going to prove to you that I'm wrong, or prove to you that you're wrong. But in doing so, have you watched some of the videos?
Yeah.
So even though he's doing it and he is proving them wrong for the most part, he's doing it in such a way that if you believed in the leftist ideas, why would you want to convert over to this if you got somebody like this who's going to talk down to you and make you feel so stupid for your own thought? You know what?
Right.
What I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but in the same in the same sense, have you listened to Vosh? He's super leftist.
No, I haven't.
He does the same thing.
Then he's a problem too. But what I'm saying is, instead of you're creating more division by doing this.
Destiny, that dumbass Destiny.
I don't know.
Oh, we're using some hot water now. Good too. He does the same thing. So the thing with a lot of times, I think we see with Charlie Kirk though is he's only like that when you come at him hostily. If you come at him with
no, that is true. He is very open about the fact that, like, yeah, thank you for having a conversation.
Right, if you're having a conversation, and the thing is that's what he's trying to promote. So it's like if you have a conversation, and because, like, for example, it's hard to imagine. I used to be a liberal, but the reason I went from liberal to conservative is because I was having conversations, and the other person didn't. But at the same token, I went to them non-combatively.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go up there and I come at you combatively, what's going to happen? You're going to become combative.
Yeah.
And then now it's okay, well, now it's a battle of the wits, and I'm going to prove I'm smarter than you. But if I come to you and I say, hey, I disagree with this, and here's why, why do you think that? And then you come to me and you say X, Y, and Z, and I go, yeah, but A, B, C, and we can keep going back, and we're having a legitimate dialogue. That's how you're going to convert people, and I get that.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with the way that what I was talking about, the way that I was going to finish it with Charlie Kirk is, how do we bring the country together?
So
how do we actually do that?
So real quick,
or is it an impossible task?
Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, I think, whatever. He has a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and they talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
On how to talk to people, because when you come after somebody hostily, they hold on to their belief even more deeply.
Well, yeah,
like that's what happens if you come out combatively. So I think the only way we're going to be able to really bridge the problem is this is me being a little bit maybe pessimistic. I think we can't bridge that gap right now. Honestly, what needs to happen, I'm being serious. Social media needs to be like the internet needs to crash for about a year. Social media is the biggest downfall. Regular media needs to stop being dishonest. You got Fox, CNN. Listen, I have nothing against biased sources,
mm-hmm.
but you need to be honest in your reporting, though. Like, you can't be like, for example, saying, I'll make fun of conservatives. You can't say,
"Don't you dare."
I'm gonna. If I were to report something, I would say Donald Trump's big beautiful bill, great for the country. It's going to help with the Second Amendment. Blah 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 blah. Right? That is honest. But there's things in that big beautiful bill that is terrible.
Right.
You need to be honest in your reporting. You need to be like, hey, Foxy's like, here's what's going to be great. Some of the downsides of it, though, is going to be this. Like, you need to be honest. Now,
and that's the problem with, they're not reporting the news, the actual news.
Now, like, CNN will say, big beautiful bill's terrible because of these things here. We don't like any of this, but it is going to do this, which is great. Like, they won't do that. They're just going to report on what was terrible about it. We're going to report what was good about it.
Right.
So, like, they're not really like explaining the whole thing. If President Trump says something dumb or does something dumb, both sides need to be like, that was a dumb thing to do. Like, like, I get it. Like, I'm MAGA. I've never denied that. I'm MAGA, but I don't blindly follow. And I want to touch base on another thing, but I want to stay on the school shooter thing for a second. But and I think that most like you and I were talking about, most MAGA people, most conservatives, we don't all agree on everything.
No,
we don't. and we're not going to kick you out of our side either, because you and I, a lot of times it becomes like, you know, I think most conservatives realize, and I think a lot of leftists and I'm not going to say left, let's say
Democrats,
liberals, okay, a lot of liberals think otherwise. They don't think we have this thought. Most of us want the same exact thing.
Yeah,
We probably could literally agree on 85%, or 80. Let's just say 80%. We'll agree on 80% of.
you know, I think most Democrats, most liberals, would agree that our government has too much control. Our government could be limited a little bit. We could have more power to people, making free choices, and it's just the problem is they believe that some of these free choices that they want and some of the free choices we want, they don't coincide.
Right.
We want more Second Amendment freedoms. They want more Second Amendment laws.
Well, so like here's an example. So this last school shooter here, we had people that were criticizing thoughts and prayers, and that's what I was saying, like, it's not a shield. So the left is saying, what? We got to do something about this. And the right's saying, we have been saying we want to do something about it, but you guys are saying no. So they're saying we need to ban guns. We're like, no, absolutely not, because this will not stop it. I can't remember which country, it was like Norway or Sweden or whatever it was, Denmark, has a high school stabbing rate. People are going to do evil things. So evil's not in the tool, it's in the heart of man.
Oh, look! I mean,
right?
look at England. England, the mass stabbings and knifings. Yeah,
they have a law there that ends of the knife have to be flat. They can't be pointy.
Oh, I didn't know.
I think that was like something they passed or something. So, and so, starting to go out. I'm not puffing on it enough. So what's happening is, where was I going with this? Oh. So like, we need to ban guns, That's not going to stop this. There's literally too many guns to do this. What we've proposed is, hey, make schools harder targets. We will protect banks better than we protect schools. Every school should have at least 2 armed guards, resource officers, something. There should be only 2 points of entry and 2 points of exit within a school. Correction, 2 points of entry, not exits. You want multiple exits in case of emergency. But to get in, a bus loop and a parent drop, and it's got to be through a very secure, like literally, like we talk about what we can do to make our schools safer. They would be so much safer. But the left then says no, because now you're talking about having people with guns in school, and guns scare kids.
But they have the resource officers.
But these are not, these officers or security guys, they're not like just some Joe we picked up off side of the road. These guys are usually highly trained. They've gone through psychological evaluations. There's a lot.
Right.
We've said multiple times, this is how you fix this. We look at examples where we've seen, I can't remember, Dylan something rather, he shot up the church. The church, right?
Yeah.
He went to one church first and didn't do anything because he saw armed guards. So he went to another church. Anytime we ever see a mass shooting, it's always an area where guns aren't allowed. It's always in a very strict gun control area. But you're not seeing this happen in big areas where there's a lot of guns allowed. You're not seeing that. So let's make the schools a harder target. Put a perimeter fence around every school. Every school down here that I've seen has that.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 ways in. Now, same thing to get literally into the buildings. There's only 2 ways into a building. Most cases, after the school starts, there's only 1 way into the building. That's through the front office.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, you got to get buzzed in.
Yeah.
So you're not being able to get, you need to make it harder to get into these schools. And these schools that are doing it, like they did with this school here, and this is where the failure happens with the government, Tim Walz. The school said, hey, religious institution schools. She didn't say Catholic. The principal didn't say Catholic. They said religious institution schools are at a higher risk. We need state funding to help. And they denied the help. So I honestly did pray for these children that were hurt and killed at this last school shooting.
Luckily, he was such a coward. He was not in the school. Apparently, he was across the street or something.
Or whatever.
And so he was shooting from a distance. I guess there was 2 fatalities and 17 casualties or something like that.
So, and it's 19 casualties 2 of them being fatalities. They were originally saying 20 because they counted him when he killed himself. He's not a casualty.
No.
Thank God. I don't consider that a casualty. A casualty is an unsuspecting person
Right.
who was or what do you want to call it? This was literally the perpetrator.
Mhm.
I don't care about him.
But at the same time, there's almost a part of me that does feel. I don't want to say I feel bad for the guy, because it's not that. But if the dude was having such bad conflict with himself, I do feel. I don't know what word would be right.
Empathy, maybe.
No, it wouldn't be empathy.
Sympathetic to.
Definitely not sympathetic.
I mean,
but I wish it just didn't happen. And it sounds like it could have been avoided. I feel like somewhere there could have been a way to avoid that.
Well, the problem is that's why me with my Christian value, I think there was demonic obsession. I think he thought there was no help for him. I can't. This is it.
And that's what makes me feel bad for him. Is he really felt that there was no help for him, and that I don't feel bad for him for what he did or the way, but I feel bad that somebody got into such a bad spot in their life that there was obviously some cries for help that went completely unanswered.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying, like, I know what you're getting at. I don't feel bad for what they did, because here's the thing: no matter what, and this is the Christian in me, this is the Catholic in me, this is after listening. There's a reason I listen to a lot of exorcists. It sounds weird, and the reason I listen to exorcists, Catholic priest exorcists, is because, in my opinion, they are more closer to God than regular priests, because they're dealing with the supernatural, and they're hearing these things, and they see these things, and whatever. So a lot of these, one thing is, no matter what, you still have free will.
Right.
The demon cannot take that from you. They'll make really strong urges, really strong temptations. So demonic temptations, like everybody's tempted, no matter what.
Yeah.
They have these really, right? But you still have the free will to reject it. You can still rebuke it. You can still do these things. This person could have still gotten help.
Right.
Even though.
But okay, so maybe it's not even him that I'm saying maybe it's I feel bad for society in a whole. Is that does it really look so bad for somebody in a position like him? More trans people, whatever the case may be.
Right.
That you don't feel like you can seek out help. That's a societal problem.
Right. And honestly, that's a leftist problem. Because here's why. He said he regrets being brainwashed and thinking he's trans.
But maybe it's also a conservative problem too, in the fact that we don't put it out enough that we are willing to help you.
That could be true too. Yeah, I mean,
because it's got to be known too. It's got to be known that, like, listen, if you're dealing with something,
well, you know what though? Let me tell you something though. What's a big thing you see conservatives say all the time? We're very anti-suicide, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
I see more things about get help, seek. Conservatives today are not conservatives of yesterday, where you kind of like bottle shit up. We're big, especially after the GWAT, Global War on Terrorism thing. You see a lot of people, hey, if you feel like you're going to kill you, how many people have said, if you're thinking about hurting yourself or others, call me.
Yeah.
I would rather talk to you for several hours than you take your own life if it's going to make you feel better. I did that to a buddy of mine. I'm not going to throw his name out there. He was going through a really hard time. I sat and talked with him for 6 hours. I almost got in my car and drove 5 states away to go pick him up that night. So a lot of conservatives today are telling people to reach out. I think the problem is it's an echo chamber. We're telling it to each other, but the left is not hearing it. So if you got this person who says, I regret doing this, I want to change, they're thinking, I've betrayed my side. If I do this, I'm a traitor. And So to them, they're like, the right hates me. They have no compassion. That's not true. But the reason they feel that way is because they're only listening to Destiny and Bosch and all these,
have we also looked at it from the other side too, from a conservative outlook on the leftist? Is maybe we need to look at it too. All we're seeing are the extremists too. Maybe there's plenty of. I'm not saying there is, but maybe there are plenty of leftists who are like, dude, I don't care if you're a conservative, man. If you need help, I'll help you. But we don't hear that either.
We don't.
And I'm sure, and I'm not knocking every leftist, because there are plenty of leftists out there who are good people who don't want that to happen.
Right. And that's the thing too, is unfortunately.
But like you said, it could be just an echo chamber. But that also kind of comes down to your friend groups. People hang out with people who are like-minded. It's just the way that it is. So
show me your 5 friends, I can tell you who you are.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, just for an example, not long ago, and you know who I'm talking about, had a friend who got nothing like suicidal, but got cheated on. I found out at midnight, and I still told him, dude, I'll put my ringer on. If you need me at all throughout the night, you just call me. That's all you gotta do. You just call me.
Right.
But that's just to another friend who's also, I would say, probably, I've never really asked, but I think he's a conservative.
Fairly, yeah.
I would say he's probably conservative. But it's like we keep it to our friend groups because that's who we know, that's who we talk to. So it doesn't really get
right.
But like my uncle is a hard leftist. I know if I called him up right now and was like, listen, I'm going through a hard time, he would stay up. He wouldn't be like, yeah, screw you and your Trump rhetoric. Click.
Right. And that's the thing is I think, we're so divided. That's why I said, in order for us to bridge that gap, social media needs to go away for a year. Like, the internet needs to crash. We need to go back to 1997 kind of thing, where nobody really cared about politics the way we care about it now.
That's fact.
Because politics is important, but it really shouldn't be about
it shouldn't what you base your life on.
Right. And so, unfortunately, I think what we're seeing is it's the extremist on one side right now doing these shootings. So I you know what though, and I'm bringing that up as the shootings, and I'm gonna finish off with the school shooting thing here, and then we'll kind of branch off. Mocking the people who are praying, what can we do right now other than pray for their souls and pray for their recovery? There's donations out there. People are donating.
Mm-hmm.
The right has said many times, we know how to make these schools safer. You just have to implement what we're saying, because the problem with a lot of these left, and we're talking extreme left, like look who's going to become the mayor of New York.
Oh my God. The
damn near communist guy, whatever it is, right? You see that what's happening right now, and where the school shooting happened, was it Minnesota? Yeah, Minnesota, Minneapolis. Yeah. You look at them, and it's like these are almost extreme leftists. You're looking at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example, extreme leftists. So we're putting these extreme people in positions of power. We're not talking center left or center right. We're talking these are far left. So what happens is they're trying to implement extreme left measures in these places. Whereas if you look here I'll use Florida. We're in Florida. Yeah, we had our Douglas Stoneman shooting that happened here. Security in schools tightened up big time after that. I mean, massively.
Even our gun laws changed.
Yeah. Not to my opinion, not for the better, but changed.
No, I agree. They weren't for the better, but they did change.
But we took proactive measures. Like, our schools are very secure now. It's stupid how secure they are. It's like getting it. When I had to service the schools, dude, it was easier to get into Fort Knox than a damn school. I got locked in one time, and I was like, why'd you lock me in? I had to get out, and I had to call the cops to come let me out. So it was such, anyways. So unfortunately, what's happening is because of social media, because of these things, the extremes are getting in. Mm-hmm. They're getting in positions of power, so they're going to try to promote extreme things like screw your thoughts and prayers. Well, now you are insulting a huge percentage of people. And we're like, whoa, you don't think we don't care about these children? We absolutely do care about these children. And I know there's leftists out there that actually do care about these children. Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't, okay? So I guess I'm just going to wrap this up. If you're a person who wants to hurt kids, you're a piece of shit. You have free will. If something's going to happen, you need to go get help. If you refuse to get help, you deserve whatever comes to you. 100%. You deserve whatever comes to you. I'm like JD DeLay here, wood chipper, feet first. Okay? If you want to do anything to kids, you deserve whatever happens to you.
And unfortunately, we do need to wake up and realize that this is an evil that will not go away.
Nope.
It's already been established. It's not going to go away. Nope. You good? There we go. The evil, since the evil is not going to go away, we have to fight the evil.
We have, and that's the thing I was going to bring up is we conservatives live in a different reality. We live in reality. We know banning guns is not going to stop this. There's more guns than there are people.
Yes.
So you just need to, hate to say it, accept it. Now adapt to it.
Unfortunately, yes.
We
and it is so sad that we have to do that. It is sad,
you know,
but that is the reality that we live in.
Yep.
So we have to take the precautions to fix it. And if that means having, dude, how many dudes do you know that served overseas that are still good in the mind, everything solid?
Plenty.
Would
Tons.
love a 9-to-5 job, working out of school, just taking care of kids and making sure nobody hurts them, and just like living like chilling around a bunch of kids. Hey, what's up, Carl? What's up, Julie? What up?
There's a lot. And a lot of people have volunteered for that. And it's like, yeah, we have no problem with that. And so, and that thing is, there was a school here. There was a school here in Florida. It was a private school. They hired armed guards, like 4 of them. And these guys have ARs locked up in the school. They carry, I think, a pistol, but sometimes there's ARs they can get to. I'm like, ain't nobody going after that school.
No, absolutely.
And we're talking 4 people, 4 armed guards, 4. That's it. 2 is more than enough for most schools.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having freaking squad level infiltrations. It's usually a lone wolf type person.
I'll tell you what, though, if we did have 4 dudes who could take a couple training classes every weekend for a little while and learn how to work as a unit and learn how to, there is nobody who's getting to those kids.
Nobody. Nope. The reaction time is going to be way too. I mean, make it harder for them to get into the school. And like you said, this person, I believe you're right. I think they said they were like across the street at like an AutoZone or something like that.
It was something like that, yeah.
And it's like, you know, it sucks. I mean, it's a reality we have to learn to adapt with. And I feel terrible for the families. I feel terrible for the school. I feel terrible, and I have children in school, and I worry about them about this stuff too. You know, I've told my kids what to do in situations like that. I think there needs to be better training programs for kids. It sucks that we have to do that, but I also think we need to address. And this is again me bringing it back to Christianity. There's a hole in these people's heart, and it's empty. And the only way it's going to be filled is they're going to listen to some rhetoric about how they're always hated and stuff like that, and they're gonna just gravitate towards, listen, I don't look to the conservatives, Republican Party. I don't look to the government as my God. Unfortunately, a lot of these leftists do.
Oh, there's plenty of conservatives that do too.
Oh, I'm not denying that. I've seen a lot of people who are like, Trump can do no wrong. I'm like,
exactly.
You probably should, like, you know. Well, I'll talk about Trump in a second. So with that being said, yeah, it's awful about what happened with these schools. We need to make them harder targets. I don't believe the banning guns is going to fix it. It's not. It's just not going to fix it. I think we need to start. I think everybody needs to start promoting, like, the left and the right. Like, we don't hate you guys. I wish I could remember the guy's name. He was running for the Democratic Party, and this was when Hillary was running for president against Trump. And he said to the Democrats, listen, the Republicans are not your enemy. They're your countrymen. They're just your opposition. We need to remember that the left, liberals, and I'm not talking leftists, I'm not talking extremes, because the right-wing extreme is just as bad, and I don't like them either, okay? I'm talking about literally the people who are right-wing, not on the tip, people who are on the left wing and not on the tip. They're our countrymen. We need to come together and remember that.
But and just going off that, you know, a good little metaphor on it is you have a right wing and a left wing, yes, but both wings are going to help that bird fly. Right. So you are trying to help the same thing.
Right. And I think we need to remember that I think both sides need to take a hard look at themselves after this recent shooting and go, okay, here's a pattern. Last 9 school shooters have all been transgender, or one of them was, Uvalde was gender fluid. All right. We look at crime rates, and we can see a certain demographic has the highest rate of crime. Compare, like, okay. We can look at other demographics to say these have the highest rate of sexual crimes. We need to literally
look. You know what the problem with that is there's too many people who are too damn sensitive and will just go, you're racist, you're a bigot, you're a sexist,
right?
And they're going to call you names for saying this stuff, But the statistics show, man, this is the problem. This is where we need to address first.
And what happens is we need to come together as a country and be like, listen, white community, you guys have the highest, not say the highest, but one of the highest rates for sexual crimes.
Mhm.
You really need to look into figure out why that is.
Yeah.
Black community, you have the highest rate of violent crimes. More black people killed by other black people. You guys need to look inward and figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I think it's like, I believe black people make up 18% of the country, but make up 58% of all murders or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, you know, left, you guys are committing the most mass murders, either driving through parades, killing people, bystanders, mass shootings that are outside of schools, shootings in schools, like that. Why is that? You need to look at your rhetoric. The right, what are you doing that is pushing these people away? What are you like? And I think that's just, and listen, the right.
But you know what's fucked up if you look at it this way? Is there's been more deaths on American soil by left extremists than there has been by Islamic jihadists.
Yep. So, yeah, and that's why it's like, so why is that? Now, maybe, like I said, sanctity of life, we have God in our hearts, most of us. Not all. I know a few atheists that are conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what we gotta look at, what are we doing that's making them, like, why do they think we hate them?
Yeah.
Why is it that we like literally, I think it needs to happen is we need to have a proper, but then we see stupid shit like on YouTube. I can't remember what it's called, where you have like maybe like a conservative sit there and they're surrounded by a bunch of liberals.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You know, something like that, or vice versa. It's like we need to get rid of these, and I think our education system has been infiltrated by a lot of these leftist policies. Oh, you know, you have this one black professor saying white people this, white people. It's like, no, stop it. Just teach your fucking subject. You know,
well, critical race theory was a big problem with that. I'm glad that we're kind of starting to get away from that.
Right. You know,
but that was a big issue with that. I think DEI. I think that's horrible for the country. Just because you have to meet a certain percentage of demographic in your company.
So one of the things, it's funny you bring up DEI. All right, we're done with the school shooter thing. You heard my points on it. I feel terrible. I think anybody who wants to hurt kids should be killed. But if you have these thoughts and you feel like you don't want to be like that, please go get help. Even if you're a leftist, go get help. I bet you $1,000 right now. If you go to a conservative and you say, hey, I'm having bad thoughts about hurting a kids, can you point to somebody that can help me so I don't have these thoughts? I bet you $1,000 a conservative would be like, I know there's going to be asshole conservatives. So they're probably like, you think about putting a bullet in your head? No. Go get help. But there's another problem. I was listening to a therapist talk about that. A lot of these therapists now, they're pushing a lot of leftist ideology. You need to try very hard. I would actually say, this is just me, go talk to a preacher, go talk to a pastor, go talk to a priest, talk to a religious leader.
Somebody who's not going to bring politics into it.
Yeah, because they're going to look at, we got liberal Catholics. They're out there.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Go talk, like literally, go see these, because they're going to be more concerned about helping you and preventing this from happening. Because I know one of the problems when I went to a therapist, I swear to God, one of the therapists was like, you talk too much. Stop it. I don't need to hear all that. It's like, whoa, I'm here for a reason. This is literally your job. So get help. Please get help. Banning guns is not going to fix the issue. We need to make schools harder targets. That was my point. Now, going on to one of the things I want to talk about, something like disagreeing. You and I had a disagreement a little bit. Trump signing that thing about burning the flag.
Yeah.
So if you had asked me 5 years ago what I thought, I would have said that's terrible. He should not sign that bill. That you have the right to burn the flag as a form of free speech. Today, I'm okay with signing that bill. I'm going to tell you my point of view, and I'll let you explain your point of view. My point of view is this. There are people who have burned the pride flag, the trans flag, Israel flag, Palestinian flag, the BLM flag, all these other flags, and get charged with a hate crime. Driving over a painted thing on a road, doing burnouts on it, getting charged with a hate crime. Nobody was attacked. Nobody was hurt. So you're being charged with a hate crime. We got to make the law as even across the board. So with that being said, I'm fine with him signing this, because if I can be charged with a hate crime for burning a trans flag or the pride flag or whatever flag, then you should be charged with a crime for burning the American flag, because that's insulting to me. That feels like a hate crime to me. I know too many people I watched in Afghanistan, Americans in their caskets being driven to the airfield with the flag draped over them. So to me, I find that very offensive. Now, if you wanted to say if the person did a stole a flag off of a building and then burnt it, theft and destruction of property, fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. But if there was no hate crime attached to it, I'm perfectly fine with that. Then we need to take away burning the flag away from burning the U.S. flag,
Right.
making that a crime. But until that happens, we have to somehow make it even across the board. And this is a great way, in my opinion, to make it even. Now, if federally, we can make it so that it's like, listen, burning a flag is not a form of a hate crime, then once that's done, boom, then he needs to remove that executive order on burning the American flag. Because I do believe that if you have the right to burn the American flag as a form of free speech, I should have the right to burn the trans flag or pride flag or whatever flag as a form of free speech. That's me personally. But until then, I'm all for keeping that legal to burn the flag, making it illegal to burn the flag.
See, and I do agree with you. I do think that makes sense, but it also makes sense to how can you arrest me for burning my own property? That's where I have the problem with. So if I was somebody who wanted to burn the American flag, and I went out and I spent my money, bought an American flag to burn it, which is literally a waste of money. But if that's what that's fair. But if that's what I wanted to do, I shouldn't go to jail for that. But the same should apply for all the flags. But the same thing also applies where if I steal somebody's flag, it shouldn't be I don't know what the name of this crime will be.
Right.
This desecration of a flag, whatever it'll be. But that shouldn't be on there. It should be
theft and destruction of property.
Yes. That's what it should be.
If I'm correct, though, you are still allowed to burn the flag, the American flag, at your property. You can't do it in a public space.
But we talked about it earlier. That makes sense. You can't take your shirt off and burn that in a public place either.
So, like, that's the idea behind it. So you can still burn the American flag, but it has to be done in your property. So I at least that's still there. That's there. But I honestly think, like I said, it maybe it's a bit of an overreaction. I think it would have been better if Trump had. Now, here's my criticism:
decriminalize the burning
of the other flags. Just, you cannot attach a hate crime to burning a flag.
It's almost like fighting violence with more violence,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, maybe just take a step back and just be like, you know what? How about this? Instead of getting you guys in trouble for this, we're just going to not get them in trouble for that.
Right.
How about that?
If you stole the flag off of somebody's property, then you're charged with, stealing the theft and, like I said, destruction of property.
Well, one of the issues that we have, right, is hate crime is so loose of a word now.
Right.
Is anything can be taken as hate crime. If I say, I don't like your hair or whatever, that's a hate crime. Everything's a hate crime. I don't have to like you. I don't have to like everything about you.
Exactly.
I don't have to like if you're gay. I don't have to like if you're straight. I don't have to like any of this stuff. And if I don't like it, that shouldn't make it be as a hate crime. It just means it goes against what I like.
Right. I think a hate crime should literally only be if you committed an act of violence to another person.
I wouldn't say necessarily act of violence, because there are still things that you could do that.
Well, no. That's it. An act of violence to another person, and it was specifically because of a trait they have, be it their skin color, sexual orientation, or whatever. So if
I believe that hate crime has to be attached to another crime. I don't think that burning a flag or doing a burnout or on whatever, it has to be attached to a real crime.
Well, see,
that's personalized. Right. That is personalized.
Well, for example, if I come up to you and what's your heritage background?
Norwegian.
Okay. Well, I come up to you and I say, I hate freaking Nordic people, you're all a bunch of freaking rapists and pillagers, whatever, and then I freaking punch you in the face and knock you unconscious.
That's a hate crime.
That's a hate crime because
Yes.
I'm doing it for a specific reason. Now, if I come up to you and just beat you up, and I steal your wallet, that's not a hate crime. It's a crime, but it's not a hate crime.
Right.
Right. There wasn't a reason attached to it. If there was,
but see, here's the thing: is I do believe, and maybe this is a little bit of a leftist thing in me. Maybe it is. I do believe that, like, let's say your neighbor had a rainbow flag out, and he has an American flag out, and I took the rainbow flag down. I stole that, and I don't know. I did whatever with it. I don't know. I just threw it on the ground. Whatever it. I think that you can be charged with a hate crime for that one because you targeted that specific one. I think that one would...
See, I don't, because that's what I was talking about, burning the American flag and that charge them with theft and destruction of property, but that's not a hate crime. Nothing happened to that person. A hate crime should be personal, what's done to somebody personal. I mean, like, literally to the person, not... If somebody stole my car because I'm a Trump supporter and they then destroyed my car,
I believe that would be a hate crime.
I'd say I don't. I'd be like, yeah, maybe you targeted me my stuff because I'm a Trump supporter, but you didn't do anything to me.
But
personally,
see, here's the thing. This is how I'd look at it, though. Is it doesn't have to be physically. They wrecked your car. Now you have expenses you have to pay for. They're still doing things to you.
Right.
It's just not violent. And they did it because of a specific reason, not because of any reason other than...
But see, to me, that's still not a hate crime. Because a hate crime should be violence related. If
maybe that's where we're differing here, right. Is I don't believe it has to be violent related.
See, because I'm like, yeah, you could target me for whatever reason, but if it doesn't affect me in a physical way, meaning like I didn't have to go get stitches, I don't have to get dental work done or whatever, that like... Now, like, if you're stalking me, then then I have no problem then turning that into a hate crime because that becomes a mental thing where it's like a stalking. But see, to me, like, if you're just...
But if you look at the mental aspect of it, you can still look at the mental aspect of somebody wrecking your property just because of your belief system.
So then, yes, that would be a bit of on the liberal side because then somebody stealing the pride flag and burning it, you're fine then with it being destruction of property, theft, and a hate crime. Whereas I don't, because I'm like, no, that's nothing happened to a person. So then I can then say, all right, well, hey, you're burning the American flag. To me, that's almost treason.
No, I would agree with that.
That's treason. You should be tried for treason. Why? Because that American flag represents America and the people who died for your right to do that, whatever, blah, 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 right? To me, that's a form of treason. You should be tried with treason. And they're like, no, I'm doing it in a form of protest. You can protest other ways. You don't have to burn the American flag. Now you're committing treason.
I agree.
And see, to me, that's not a form of treason. I'm like, you're burning American flags in a form of protest. I think as a First Amendment right, you have the right to do that. But
if it's yours.
Right. If it's yours. But if you stole somebody's American, like, you know what?
But that's why I'm saying the stealing of a flag, if you're targeting that flag because of what it represents, I'm not opposed to it being a hate crime because you've already committed a crime behind it. If you buy a pride flag to then burn it, no, you're burning your own property. You're just that whatever. See,
so then the way it would look then is like if somebody saw me flying the American flag and also had a Trump flag and they stole my Trump flag and burned it and did all this stuff, should there be a hate crime involved because they're targeting me for political reasons?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe not even political reasons. In fact, as a matter of fact, they could be labeled as a domestic terrorist because they're using violence to influence their political agenda.
Well, at least you're consistent.
So, yeah, I mean, so no, I do believe because at the same, regardless, a crime is happening.
Right.
If the crime is not if the crime is targeted for one specific reason, whether it be your belief system or now, this is me on kind of an outlook, like me personally, like me as a actual, like completely personal, not an outlook or kind of. Fucking if you burn a flag, I don't give a shit. It's a fucking $5 thing.
Right. Yeah. I am the same way.
I'm looking at it from like a broader view. But if a crime is being committed and it's being targeted strictly because of that, like if I fly one of the I don't know, a fucking don't tread on me flags, and
The
somebody,
gag stag flag, yes.
yep, if somebody steals that and they're targeting me because of a belief that I have, yeah, I think that should be more of a problem than somebody just stealing fucking, I don't know, a potted plant from my house because they liked my potted plant.
Right.
Or if they steal the fucking flag and they're hanging up it in their wall because they wanted that flag. No, that's different. That's not like a hate crime. Or if I had a pride flag, they steal my pride flag because they wanted it. That's not really a hate crime. They're not doing anything hateful there.
Here's one of my problems why I don't think it should be labeled as a hate crime or something like that. So let's say I was flying a American flag and a pride flag, and they stole my pride flag and they burned it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that. What if they just wanted to burn something of mine? Prove that it was done with the intent of hate.
No, that's totally fine.
So
there still has to be intent, and that's one of the issues that most crimes actually have. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of prosecutors have, is they usually have to do prove some sort of intent. The burden of proof falls on.
Right. So now, if they go to like this person's social media and they look through it and they go, all these, these gays and these homosexuals, this and whatever, but you see all this rhetoric,
all these faggots should burn, and then suddenly they're burning an American
right.
pride flag,
and then all of a sudden they're going to say, well, it looks like you had intent. No, not necessarily. You had, like, what if he just also is an arsonist?
I mean, but then you can look on his history. Has he burned things before? There's
right.
things to look
into.
But
the problem though is that just because you disagree with something doesn't necessarily mean the reason you did something.
No, and I
was
do
out of
that.
Hate. They could have just been like, you know what, this damn flag just annoys me. I hate.
But I feel like we can use a little bit of common sense with that one,
right?
too.
You can, but still have to prove intent.
And I do agree with that.
Because, like, I'll use an example. All right, I love hockey. Florida Panthers Cup, right? I love hockey. I think it's the best sport in the world.
Is that technically a Stanley Cup?
It is a Stanley. It says right there. All right, on this side here it says Stanley Cup champions.
So you got a Stanley Cup.
But this is not actually made by Stanley Cup.
Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, no, this is some generic thing, but it's good, dude. I accidentally left a drink in there over it was like 20 some hours, and it was still cold. I was like, that's a good cup. Anywho, so let's say I love hockey. Say I do love hockey. I love hockey. It's my favorite. Hockey this, hockey that, hockey this, hockey that, hockey this, hockey that, hockey this, hockey that, right?
Hockey Tua?
Hockey Tua, yep. Hockey Tua, right? But I now go and deflate a football. So I steal somebody's football and I stab it and I deflate it, right? They say, well, shoot, you did that. And this is obviously, I'm going way off. I'm purposely picking a whatever. They say you committed a crime. You went after this person because they were like, football this, football that, football this, football that. And like, how do you know? I never said I hated football. Just these kids are assholes.
I mean, it does make it a slippery slope.
So, and that's the problem you're going to run into here. It's like, I don't like, again, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's a terrible analogy because you're saying you hate gay people and homosexuals, but then you burn a pride flag. I can see the correlation, but you still have to prove my intent was because it was this.
Well, I mean,
and that's kind of like this here. It's like, I love hockey, but I can say hockey's better than football in every way. Football's boring, it's slow, blah, blah, blah. Hockey's go, 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 go. And then I destroy somebody's freaking football equipment. You can't be like, well, you did that. I know it's not a hate crime, but you'll be like, you did that because...
But here's where my problem with hate crime is why couldn't that be a hate crime? Why isn't that a hate crime? You are targeting somebody for a belief or a view or opinion or something that they have. If whether it be as stupid as fucking football, why
see then I could be like, no, my intent wasn't because they like football. The reason I destroyed it was because these kids keep trampling all over my yard and destroying my flowers in my garden. So I destroyed it because I got tired of that. It was not because they liked football. That person could literally say, I burned that stupid flag because it's in my line of view and I love watching the stars, whatever. And if that flag was just either 5 feet lower or 5 feet higher, it would have been out. Like, they literally could be, it had nothing to do with them being gay. The point of it was literally in my line of sight. It can be whatever. Now you're like, that was the reason I did it.
But then maybe we can address these things without a zero tolerance kind of thing, and look at it in a situational, like what's the word I'm looking for? Where each situation,
case by case basis.
yeah, case by case. You know, in a situation like yeah, I fucking burned it, but I burned it because of the.
But but here's the thing. Then you also have the right to remain silent. Why'd you burn that flag? I refuse to answer any of your questions.
Well, just because you're charged doesn't mean you get convicted.
Right, but the thing is now they're gonna be like, all right, well.
And then you talk to your lawyer, you explain it to your lawyer then presents it properly. That charge gets dropped, you get charged with theft or vandalism or whatever.
See, see, this is how you have proper discourse. Him and I disagree, and I still don't like him. No, I'm kidding. So,
but like I said, I'm looking at this on a broad view, in a way that I feel makes sense in my head. Not that I personally feel this way, because personally, I don't think that there really is much of a hate crime against really anybody or anything. If you're anybody, I can lawyer it up and make anything a hate crime.
Well, see,
I can.
Years ago,
I stole from Target because Walmart's better.
Well,
it's a hate crime against Target.
Years ago, I had this conversation. I might have been with Dex, and there was like 2 or 3 black guys, whatever, attacked and beat the hell out of this white guy, and they were not going to charge him with a hate crime because the white guy was considered a non-protected class or something like that. And I disagree with that. It's like, no, they targeted him because he was white. They said so themselves. That should be a hate crime. But in all fairness, if I attack anybody for any reasons, and I attack them and I hurt them or I kill them, regardless, no matter what, it should be a hate crime.
Honestly, here's the way that we get around that: is we get rid of hate crime. Fuck hate crime. There is no hate crime. What you did is a fucking crime.
Well, see, and that was the argument we were having. So if I attacked a random woman, because I'm just using an example, I'm not saying I would do this. In fact, if anybody does this, they should be executed immediately. If I attacked a random woman because she told me no, now I hate her and I attack her and I do something to her, that should be a hate crime.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is hate crime, the term hate crime can be painted with such a broad brush.
Right.
That you can turn anything into a hate crime. So if you're going to label something as a hate crime, in my opinion, there has to be a crime truly attached to the thing that you're calling a hate crime.
Right.
Or we could just get rid of hate crime itself in general. I'm fine with that. I don't believe there's a true hate crime. You did something malicious, regardless of skin, whatever.
I agree that we should just get rid of hate crimes altogether. But the idea behind the hate crime was it made the punishment more severe. And here's how I look at it. Hear me out. How about we just make all the crimes
more severe? Right, exactly. If punching you because you're white gets me a year in prison versus punching Dex gets me 5 years in prison because he's black, how about I just get 5 years for punching you in prison, or 5 years in prison for punching you?
Right.
Because I did the same fucking crime.
Right. And it's like just make it all the same, across the board. And that's how I look at it. I'm kind of the same way. I would rather just get rid of the hate crime, because it's like the idea of hate speech. Hate speech is not free speech. Absolutely, it is free speech.
But hate speech is completely up to interpretation.
And that's the same thing with hate crimes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's painted with such a broad brush.
It's very subjective. There's no objectiveness, if you will, to it, because I could say, and I'm being just. I don't believe this way. This is just an example. I could say we should go around burning down all black neighborhoods because I don't like black people. Well, I can't say that because that would be inciting violence. No. I could say, I would like it that we deported all black people back to Africa. All right? We sent them all. I don't care if they're born here. We sent them all back to Africa. Now, to 99% of the people, that sounds like hate speech. But there's a group of people who say, no, I absolutely agree with it. And they'll bring up stats and they'll say, this is why. And they'll be like, so to them, it wasn't hateful. Now, I did go purposely to the extreme to get my point across.
Right.
But I was like, now if we can get a little bit more subtle, let's go a little bit more subtle. uh, during the BLM riots, and was it 2018, 2019?
Right.
That happened for 18 months. BLM riots. All right. Now,
No, it was 2020 when George Floyd died.
was that 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
I swear to God, it's
Yeah,
2018.
no, COVID. During COVID.
It was? Okay. So that all happened, right? They were saying, all right, during the protests, one of the speakers was like, hey, I'm not saying you have to go home, but you guys do whatever you want, whatever you guys got to do, right? That was pretty subtle. Pretty subtle. They went out and started rioting.
Mhm.
He kind of just told them to riot. He's like, I'm
Right.
not saying you have to go home, but and then they started rioting. That's why it's like it's a little bit more subtle. And to me, I'm like, that's hate speech because he just told them to go. Now, mind you, I would say that was a dog whistle. That's what the left would say. It was a dog whistle. Or if they go around and they have what you do here, white people owe us reparations. Reparations. And I go, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you, I never owned a slave. In fact, I've had family that died in the Civil War fighting for the Union to end slavery. Why should I pay reparations? To me, that sounds like hate speech. But to the left, and maybe I should say generally it is the left. To the left, that's not hate speech. It's just as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's hateful for me, but it's not hateful for them. If I go around, like right now, I'll use me as an example. I'm for deporting all these illegal immigrants.
Mhm.
Deport them. They're not here legally. I don't care if they're here 20 years, like that truck driver that killed those 3 people. Barely passed his...
Did you see that they believe that he was also the one who caused the bridge collapse?
He actually had another one too, where I guess something else happens at
He
West.
still had a CDL. Not only was he still here, but
he didn't barely spoke English, didn't understand the road signs, couldn't read it, but he's been a truck driver for 20 years. I don't care. You need to learn. So me, it sounds bad, but I'm like, deport these illegal aliens. I get it. Yeah, they might have been hardworking, whatever, but we have a process. We have a legal process. Deport them. To me, that's not hate speech. To a lot of people that hear that, that's not hate speech. But you see, obviously, the riots and the protesting, to a lot of people, that is hate speech.
Yeah.
So hate speech is very subjective. And to me, I'm like, that's not an extreme view. Do you know Mexico deports Americans all the time?
Mm-hmm.
They're having protests against Americans. They're saying, speak our language and all this other stuff. Stop taking our jobs. Keep our culture, whatever. Stuff like... But that's fine. But we can't do it here. So is that hate speech? I actually don't view that as hate speech.
No,
I'm like, no, Mexico has a right to want to keep their culture. So that's the whole thing. Anything that's hate related is very subjective. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine if we got rid of hate crimes and just like we said, just make the crime the harshest it can be then.
I feel like that's the easiest way to then go about it, because if you're trying to figure out what is and what isn't hate, that's really hard.
Right.
Really hard to figure that out. So if we just get rid of hate and just say, you know what, you did a crime and you're going to get punished really bad for it.
There we go. All right, let's wrap this up here. We got a few more minutes, and then let's do this.
Let me smoke a cigarette and we'll finish it up.
So, all right, let's talk about something a little bit more fun.
You mean you don't like talking about hate?
I'm not a hateful person, surprisingly.
I hate you.
It's a fun kind of hate.
I don't hate him.
It's a fun kind of hate.
Most days.
So, I don't know. Let's talk about something fun. I would like to end on a higher note, on a happier note.
On a happier note?
On a happier note.
I don't know if I would say this is a happier note, but did you see or hear that there is some sort of object moving through space that looks like it's moving with intelligence? An astrophysicist from Harvard said, and he believes at 99% chance it is an intelligent craft,
right,
from another planet, and he said that it is going to be coming through by the world around November.
Right, and they're saying, if I remember correctly, it's traveling at like 254,000 miles per hour.
Yeah,
like that.
Something wild,
something stupid fast. And they believe it came from outside the solar system. They know it is. They don't think it's a comet because there's no visible tail, but they won't know for sure. They
said there's intelligent movement.
So, and they're saying though, but see, now the thing I heard though is that it won't pass us because by the time it gets to us, we'll be on the other side of the sun.
Well, I don't know if it'll pass. It said the closest it'll be to us will be in November.
Right. So yeah, because they're saying we'll be on the other side of the sun, and once we're on the other side of the sun, we won't be able to track it anymore, or something. I remember hearing about something like that. You know, though, the government has acknowledged there's extraterrestrial life.
Right.
And I remember they came out with this, no joke, during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what the
well, it was on Netflix, like the UFO files or something like that.
And like the you know, and a lot of people are kind of like, you could tell us Godzilla is real. And we'd be like, yeah, especially during 2020, we'd be like, yeah, okay, sure, why not?
Nothing, you know? Nothing was surprising us in 2020.
It was like literally like the Amazon was burning down, and all this stuff here. We had a freaking we had COVID-19. There was like all this stuff was happening.
All the riots, all the just craziness in the world.
And we're just like, you could have been like, oh, by the way, UFOs are real. You know what? We got bigger things to worry about. They're like, oh, okay, guys, this is a great time to come out saying.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those saying. You ever heard the saying, focus on the alligator closest to the boat?
No, I actually have not heard that.
So it's like, if you're getting attacked by alligators, you focus on the alligator closest to the boat, meaning like, that's your closest problem.
Right.
Deal with that first.
Yeah. Don't worry about
the other one.
Those are down the road. We'll be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's kind of where we're at with it. Like, okay, well, the aliens aren't here, so whatever.
What, they're taking some cows, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they can abduct a cow.
Yeah, I mean, good fillet is always nice. I understand it.
Yeah, but they're not even doing that. They're just like sucking the goo out of it and like leave the body. So.
You know, yeah, I mean, if the aliens are going to come, I hope they come, like, really and do some cool shit. Like, I hope they introduce us to, like, a new metal or something that we can...
Teleportation.
That would be pretty cool.
Like, and it's like, listen, guys, look, I'm going to show you something really cool. You can get from here to England in, like, 1.5 seconds. Just to, hey, look at that, you know? There's no side effects.
At that point, borders would not exist.
Borders would still exist, I think.
I mean, borders would exist, but immigration and stuff, that would be a non-issue. Because, like, you know what? I'm tired of this American shit. I'm going to Peru.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, just do it. Dude, so I was watching this thing like a year ago. And I was watching, there was a documentary on, like, aliens and stuff. And I was watching this thing, and I felt like these motherfuckers were so close-minded. Maybe it's because there's a little bit of hopefulness in me. Whatever the case may be. I don't know. But these... physicists, I think they were just physicists, maybe astrophysicists, I guess so. But they were saying there's no no chance that if there are beings somewhere else that we'd ever be able for us to communicate with us, for them to communicate with us, because they said there's nothing on Earth that could or nothing in the world, or I'm sorry, universe, that can withstand the speed that it would take to travel from here to there. And I'm thinking, how close-minded are you to think that there's not something on another planet that you don't know about that could hold up to those speeds, to those strengths, to those temperatures? Like, just because we don't have it doesn't mean it doesn't possibly exist.
I was listening to something like that, and they were talking about something like, I don't know, probably not the same thing, but I was hearing something like that. They're like, physics doesn't allow...
Yeah, and they're like, physics and math, it doesn't matter. It's universal. It'll work anywhere in the world.
But yet,
or anywhere in the universe.
Yet, I don't generally like Neil deGrasse Tyson. When he stays to his topic, his knowledge, which is astrophysics and all that stuff, he's a genius. I will not deny that. But he did bring up a good point. He's like, wormholes are possible.
Yeah.
What if they found a wormhole? Because space, imagine, is flat.
Right.
But a wormhole would make it so it folds space, and then they can travel from one point to the other faster. I'm like, yeah, what if they had wormhole technology?
Yeah.
Like, what if they had the capability to be like, yeah, if we wanted to get, if we were from, I'm just making this up, say if they're from the Andromeda Galaxy, right? That's the nearest galaxy to ours. All right, I'm seeing the galaxy, and they go, to get to here, it's, I don't remember how many light years. I'm just making a number. It's 20 light years away. That means it'll take 20 years from the light to get from Andromeda Galaxy to here. So 20 light years away is, I can't remember how many actual years it is for us. So it's like, like 3, 4. So they're like, there's no way, like, by the time they would get here, their civilization, their world could actually have already ended or whatever, right? But what if they have the technology, because they've been around so long, to literally be like, we have hyperspace, which is not really hyperdrive, but it's wormhole. You create a wormhole generator where you can go from one point to the other relatively quickly. So only being gone in literal years, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
4 literal years.
Yeah.
Like in order for us to do this, you have to be outside of certain, you have to be within, I don't know, like certain radiation belt, out of certain radiation belt, you got to be away certain thing, blah, 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 whatever. And in order to do that, it takes 2 years to get to this one location. So it's going to be 2 years here traveling. Once you go through this wormhole, then you travel 254,000 miles an hour, or something stupid. It was 254,000 miles per second. It was something stupid.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, then a few years we get here.
But I just think that it's so closed-minded to think that just because we don't have it, we don't know about it. And no, you can't bring that variable into the equation if you don't know about it.
Right.
How closed-minded are you to believe that, no, it's impossible, it can't happen? Well, maybe for us, maybe we don't have the material in Earth to make that. Yes. But maybe on the Ugagaga planet or whatever, they do. Maybe they have a metal that can withstand that, and they can make ships, and then they have figured out over time and how to make wormholes, and they can travel at 214.
I don't think it'd necessarily be metals. I think it would be technology. It would have to be a technological advancement, because for the most part, the periodic table of elements, we got all the elements pretty figured out, because they explained how.
Only on Earth, though.
So, well, no, this is there's elements on periodic table elements that are not on Earth.
Okay, but there still could be elements that are on another planet that we just do not know about.
Well, how periodic table elements works is based off of how many electrons and neutrons are in an atom.
I understand, but until another variable comes into play, because before we knew about that stuff, we didn't know about that stuff.
Right, but neither here or there, I guess. I mean,
are you being closed-minded?
I'm not being closed-minded.
Are you being closed-minded to believe that there isn't something else that can change the whole variable to the or one variable that can change the entire equation?
The only thing I can think of, well, I don't know. This is way outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not going to pretend to know. So, you could be right. I don't know. All right. But I was just listening to these bunch of scientists that were talking about like discovering new elements, and they're like, they were explaining how they came up with, because there's elements on periodic table that we have literally never, if I'm correct, have never seen or anything like that, but we know they exist because of how atoms work and whatever. Anyways, I don't know. It's beyond me. My point though is I think it'd be more technological advancement than it would be elemental. And that could
I think it would have to be both. It would absolutely have to be both.
Because one of the things is you have to create a power source. In order to have some type of generator where you can have like a wormhole, you're going to need an extremely strong power source.
Well, you would have to essentially be able to be stronger than the wormhole, because a wormhole is like a black hole. It can suck. It'll have a gravitational force.
Right, it's going to have a gravitational force, but
so you have to be able to fight that.
So maybe, I don't know, but my point though, I don't know enough about that. That's why I'm not even going to
I don't know much about that stuff either.
All I know is a black hole light can't escape.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So,
that's because the gravitational force is so strong.
Right.
And it just
you get what they call spaghettified, stretched out and all this stuff. So, but a wormhole is thing with the black hole is a black hole is not actually a hole.
No, it's not. But they have thought that you could actually take two black holes and create a wormhole.
Maybe. So this is where maybe. So they were explaining. So what a black hole is it's a collapsed star.
Correct.
All right. And because it's collapsed, all of the gravitational forces collapse. And that's why it's black, because it's taking light, and light can't escape. It's not reflecting back. So there is a solid core believed to be in a black. So there's nowhere to go. A wormhole is not so much a solid core. It's a hollow tube.
Right.
So the idea would be, I guess, it wouldn't be a black hole.
Well, theoretically, if you had two black holes, right, and even if there was a hollow way to get from one side to another, with the gravitational pull from both of them, essentially what would happen is you just end up kind of like ping-ponging back and forth between them, I believe.
Well, I thought when I was explaining this is what happened if there's two black holes. I think there is a case like this. They'll start to eat each other.
I guess one, probably would.
Usually, one will eat the other. Can you imagine that? Like, bigger black hole eats the smaller black hole, and now it becomes a ginormous hole. No pun intended.
That sounds like the making of a really bad movie.
Yeah. So it's like, you got this ginormous black hole. And it's like, stay away from that, guys. You're gonna die. You go over there. Well, I think they would have to have some form. They would have to have an extreme amount of power. So maybe there would be like possibly a new element stronger than, like, say, uranium, because like nuclear power is like the strongest form of power we can have right now. Power subs, it powers ships, obviously nuclear reactors and stuff like that. Like it has huge bombs, huge source of power, right? So they would probably have to have something that can generate more power than that. So maybe there would create or have a new element that is way more powerful than that, where they can do this kind of deep space travel in a timely manner that can either accelerate you, which is impossible. You can't accelerate faster. Then I say that, but scientifically speaking, based off the science we know,
yes.
Right, you cannot accelerate faster than time, or excuse me, light. You can get close, but you'll never get to it. So it's like, if with that in mind, there would have to be a wormhole generator. The idea of like hyperspace, for example, would be like a wormhole generator. So it creates a wormhole with the power you have. I'm trying to think of a great way to as an analogy. I think somebody was talking about, like, think of a wormhole as like a rock that hits water. When it initially hits water, it creates a cavity, and that's almost something similar. It's like you are literally punching a hole through space, and it creates the wormhole. It's kind of like a rock going through water. So as soon as it hits it, creates a hole. That's how you get through it. It almost would have to be something like that, I would think. But you would need some kind of generator. But that would be interesting. I still wouldn't go exploring space, though.
I wouldn't. No.
I'm pretty happy here on Earth. I'm good here.
Yeah.
I know I won't. Well, I know I won't die here. I'm like, well,
you won't die on Earth.
Well, I mean, like, I know if all things go right, I'll be fine, and I know what to do to be fine. like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't say that because we have sinkholes. I'm not gonna be like walking and what? Oh, I'm dead. Like, nope. It's like in space.
Florida's actually #1 state for sinkholes too.
We do like our sinkholes. It's because we got we got so much underground water. Dude, I had to replace my mailbox today. All right. Replace my mailbox, and I go down literally maybe 2.5 feet, and I hit water. Now, we've had a lot of rain, whatever. We haven't had it. Well, no, we did have rain. We've had a lot of rain, so water flows down. But what was wild is I was going down deeper and deeper, and then was like, okay, and I see it's getting wet. No big surprise. We had rain. I go back. I grab the post to put in the ground. I go back in there, and that damn near the whole hole is full of water.
Yeah, at least then all you had to do was add a little concrete mix, and water was already in there for you.
I did not add concrete.
Oh, you didn't?
I don't do that. No. So what I used to do is this, and it works great because I couldn't get the old post out. It was rotted, so I kind of just had to, where it was rotted, it was hanging on by like one little inch thick piece. Otherwise, it was just flopping around. I had to just snap that off. What I do is because I don't like using concrete. So at the bottom of your pole, what you can do is you put a bunch of screws, just like say 2 or 3 on each side. Yeah. You put that down and that will act like concrete, because the way it works is it acts like an anchor.
That makes sense. Yeah,
it acts like an anchor, so it's got more mass. Another thing you can do too is, which is really difficult to do, is if you put notches in the wood. So instead of having a round or a square thing, whatever, you just cut a bunch of notches. The sand and stuff will fill into that, and it acts as an anchor.
That makes sense.
All right. So
on that note, you think it's about time to wrap it up?
Yeah, well, I got to finish this point now.
Oh, let's finish this point.
So I was saying, put this damn thing. So I come back, and this entire hole is filled with freaking water. So now I lost it. Way to go, jerk. What was I saying?
You got your Stanley Cup out.
I don't remember. It was, damn it. Hold on. I had to replace it. Something about
sinkholes.
Oh, that's right. It was about sinkholes. Yeah. So we have so much water underground. it erodes. It literally erodes. So here's how we get sinkholes in Florida. We got so much water goes underground. It literally, and we don't have like solid stone that you would like say in the mountains or something like that, where you're like, right, it's pretty sandy here. So what?
Our solid base is broken up seashells.
Pretty much, yeah, limestone if we're lucky. So what happens is that water erodes the ground underneath it, and eventually you get this big freaking hole, and then it collapses. So, and that's how we get our sinkholes. And that's all I was bringing up was like, I dug only like 2.5 feet into the ground, and this damn thing filled it with so much water. And I'm like, and I was thinking,
and we drive on these roads.
Yeah. So imagine this water traveling through, and like that's how it erodes. Because I noticed too, as I was doing this damn project, because it was filling with water, and what was happening? The sides of the hole were collapsing in. I was like, you son of a bitch. So I'm trying to dig this water out, and it's just filling back up, and I'm nowhere near the ocean.
Yeah, we're really not.
You know, but like if I dig 5 feet deep, I've hit the ocean. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap
Florida.
This. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this. You know, we were supposed to be underwater according to Al Gore like freaking 15 years ago. Still not underwater.
Still not underwater.
I don't have freaking oceanfront property right now. That would really increase my home's value.
That'd be pretty nice right now.
So, all right, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for checking out our little Gentleman's Corner here thing. And hopefully you found it interesting, informative, all that other fun jazz. If you had, guys, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button, all that. If you want to, you can try to follow me. You don't have to as well. On Instagram is Mission Forge 85, or you can check out our Modern Sword 2236 on Instagram. It's where we post a lot of our stuff for Modern Sword, because Jones Corner is brought to you by Modern Sword. Brett, you got anything?
Don't cross the road without looking.
This is Florida. That's all they do is cross the road without looking. Come up with something else.
Look for the guy crossing the road without looking.
All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Maybe I'll be here.
Maybe not.
Stay tuned.
All right.